It's not like everyone's favorite show. It's just like everyone knows about the show and has mixed feelings on some sides. And even I say it's not the best show I've seen. Like I know it's not, but I love it for what it is and what it does.
I recognize there are like you gotta understand this is a show that I'm like I won't put on my ranking over Violet
Yeah.
Evergarden because I believe Violet Evergarden's a better show, but I wholeheartedly believe it's my
Oh
favorite
yeah.
show. Like if you
You
ask
know,
me, so
Snafu. I think Snafu season one is an 8 on my list, and that I think is technically high, is what I would argue.
yeah.
But like the
But I
show itself, I think does things really well, and like just how it connects with me as a person,
Mhm.
was really really good. Also, Yui's the best girl. So if you're saying otherwise, you're wrong. I'm sorry. Mason, yeah, what are you gonna say?
Um, I'm just gonna look up. Yeah, so I have season one at a 7, which I'm gonna bump that up to a 7.5.
Look at my glasses, Claire.
And then
Wow.
season two
With the
is
light. I see the light.
yeah, I have it the 3 seasons as 7.5, 8.5, 8 for
Yeah,
for
I'm
Orgasm.
8.59 with season 2 being the best, right?
Yeah, season two is the best
Season
by
2 is by far
far.
the best. It starts hard and it gets fucking very, very aggressively painful.
Yeah, no, season two is just genuinely like it's
Top tier show.
it's a top tier show. It is arguably one of the best
I-
romance anime
I'm
I've
gonna
ever
watch
seen.
it. I want to watch it. I think it'll
It
probably
it would be a
it'll probably make me go, okay, yeah, I can finally move Toradora as like one of my highest rated romance shows. And I also need to rewatch Toradora to really know if that's a good place to put it. But I've always felt that
where'd
way,
you put
and
it?
it's really high. It's either a high 8 or a
What's
9.
I
I
think it
need
deserves an 8.
Yeah.
I think it holds up. I did actually just rewatch that show a couple months ago with a friend of ours.
I think it will drop in my opinion down to an 8, which will allow other romances to be above. But for a long time, I've always gone just nothing kind of hits the same way. Kaguya's really close though.
See,
Kaguya gets really close.
part of me with Tora specifically though is like you have to accept it when it was released, right?
Yeah.
I think like knowing when it came out and like what it did for like the romance genre, like
I need to finish it.
it has a lot of those things you see in today's shows,
Yeah.
but you gotta remember it's like part of what created a lot of that with like the Clannad's of the world and things like that, and like
The
Haruhi.
Haruhis. Mhm.
Yeah. Haruhi does not hold up for shit nowadays.
Yeah.
However, you have to respect that it did do a lot good for anime back then. But
But welcome everybody. It's the
Hello.
finale of the summer season.
I'm
It's in
celebrating by
October.
smoking a cigar.
Mason has lots of things to celebrate, with 2 of his shows being there. But before we do that, we
Victory
get
lap.
to have some fun. Let's start this off with, instead of doing each of us, let's do a who's finished stuff from this season that either
Me.
has been or hasn't been on the podcast.
I have
Who wants to start?
Sort by year
Um,
2021.
I haven't.
yeah, so I mean I
I
guess
have.
I'll start. Because I watched one more show than John did. And then John and I can just both talk about the other show that we watched. So I finished Black Company and Remake.
I also finished Remake.
I think
Michael
everyone
also finished
Remake.
Remake. I did it on
Michael
my own
finished-
time.
Michael and Mason finished Remake with me in separate times.
Yes.
So Black Company was I don't
Black
know.
Company.
It was good. Like I ended up rating it a 7. Because the ending to it was solid. It had I'm not gonna spoil it, but it had Nina Mia being Nina Mia,
Mhm.
and then just Nina Mia being just a top tier character.
Okay, here's a
Good.
question for you. Does it do what very few shows this season do and actually finish, or is it very much in a spot where there's more content and you can
Um,
tell?
Okay. So it could go either way.
Okay.
So it ends with them going, "Hey, we're gonna throw Nina Mia a party because he's talking about leaving," and then they're like, "Well, he's gonna go back to his to Japan. He's gonna go back to his world."
Nihon Land.
And then they're throwing him the party, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave this to Wani Bay, and I'll see you guys when I get back." And then they're like, "You fucking what?" And he's
You
like,
back?
and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not like." They're like, "Wait, aren't you going back to Japan?" He's like, "Fuck no, I have so much." Shit. He's like, "I have shit to do here. I'm best when I'm actually busy." The whole like not doing anything bit, yeah, I realize it's boring as hell. So I'm just going to other countries and going to get dungeons there. They're like,
Oh boy.
So it's either it could just end there,
Yeah.
and you just assume that he's just going to go do the same shit in other countries, or it could go on to a second season where it's him going into other countries.
Do we want to all quickly express the ending of Remake real quick?
Okay. Fuck that. That's my first thought about it. So, remake, really, it's.
By the way, there's gonna be spoilers
don't-
and harsh language on this
I
podcast.
don't hate it. I don't actually hate
I
it,
agree.
and here's why.
Agree.
Because I think there's plenty of room for the show to grow, and I think, yeah, if it keeps going, that'd be great. The problem I have with it is there's like 3 light novels out total now, and there's not a fucking shot it isn't caught up with those. Like, so it's got no content for you. We're looking at years before we get more of this show. I think Kawasagawa still got a chance, so that gives it bonus points in my book. I think, I guess his daughter just got unbirthed. That sucks.
I
There's a
hate you.
fetish for that.
There is, unfortunately, there is a tag for that. Not that I would know what those are, but I'm a little disappointed. I think this show spun its wheels in the future, quote unquote, too much. Like it got really bogged down being in that like future timeline. That like it felt like that could have been like 2 episodes. We get back and then we like get the gang back together or something, or like move on past this point, right? So it sets it up for like what's next. Whereas now it's just like anything could happen, and it's like I don't like that. I don't like a build your own ending, right?
I
like
can
it-
explain my thoughts in
I like
one
something
sentence.
concrete to like look off of. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'm a little peeved, but
Yeah,
it's not awful.
My thoughts can be summarized as: did you know that Remake Our Life is based on a light novel that's ongoing and has 9 volumes out currently? That
Is it
doesn't seem
9?
like the show fucking did.
Is it really 9?
Yes.
There's
Okay,
3 that
3
are translated.
Well, translated.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
are
think they're
9
official.
currently out.
Lotion on Bookwalker. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like there's that many. I'll be honest.
I want to share some of my reactions that when Michael saw me watch. He went, "Yeah, we had those too." For it, just in hate, not even about like the last episode, but about what it would be the episode before it. Man, they really pivot that owner character super hard to just let our main character get away with whatever he wants. And man, for a man who kept his mouth shut and really didn't want to get involved, did he have fucking everything planned for no goddamn
I
good reason?
forgot about that. Episode
It-
11 was so
It's very
tilting.
frustrating.
The first half of episode 11's the worst.
It's very
That is
frustrating.
The worst.
I don't even innately really like a lot of what the show does, because a lot of that, the end of the future timeline stuff, is the show going, man, you really shouldn't have, like, overstepped your boundaries, and look at all the things you took on, and all the things you did, and how, like, you also didn't show any of your vulnerability to us when it was clearly there. And I went, now hold on a minute. That's
You
not
kinda
fair.
did.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Show when he did have problems, he went to Kasagawa. The moments you're talking about, you didn't show us. That's not fair. You can't skip the important part of the lesson.
You didn't
he's
show
supposed
us
to
the
learn,
breaking point of this show.
but he didn't learn it. Like the person you're talking to didn't go through that. So why are you yelling at him about it? It's
The person
really
you're talking to hit the
ridiculous and
climax
silly.
where he realized he might have fucked up and then got sent back and was like, haha,
Yeah.
JK, here's what happens.
And in that
Like-
regard, like I think the show would have been better off showing us some of those consequences and spending a season 2 in the future. I think whether or not you have the translated content to do it, you could animate bullshit your way to good content for a 2-season show with that for 24 episodes. Even like 22, 23, whatever. Like I think you could have done something more with this. But in the end, it's still okay. I don't hate it. There are
Yeah.
parts that frustrate me for sure, but it's still probably like a 7. I haven't sat down to think hard enough about it.
So you want to know what bothers me that I just realized? The fact that we could have had one less episode of the future arc,
Mhm.
and it would have been fine because we had the hour-long first episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
So literally, they could have fit in. Just if they didn't have that hour long, they could have just cut one of the future
Just kinda-
episodes and just move it together a little bit, and it would have been fine. It would have been fine.
Also, there's a part that really makes me mad where they're like, yeah, you know, everyone just quit doing their passions. It's like, yeah, but Shinoaki's happy. And on top of
happy
that,
and married.
Nana didn't
Kawasagawa's got a
quit.
pretty
Nana's
good career.
still. You made it a point that Nana's still actually doing her thing, and that's like a reason he should not be down on himself. So why are you acting like she also quit? She's still doing her thing. Like I understand all the show's like moral lessons, But also, it's a little frustrating where the end of episode 12, because it ends on 12, not 13, right?
Mhm.
I just want to make
12,
sure I have the number
12
right
with the
when I'm
hour-long
talking.
first episode.
Yeah, the end of episode 12, he runs into the artist from the future who he helps, and they make it very apparent that he's going to get involved in her life. And now that's a point where I'll go, did you not learn your fucking lesson? Because he shows that he learns his lesson with the other
Well,
two, but then
he's
he's
gonna
like,
get her
but what if I
involved
get
to fix
involved with her?
Shinoaki. That's the idea, I
But
think.
that sounds like you're doing
Which is the fucking
what you're not
problem.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
You should just let things run their course now. You've learned your lesson. But yeah,
Did you guys also
Katagawa
know
best
there's a
girl.
spin-off light novel called Bogatachi no Remake Beta, which is following the version of him that's still in the future?
That's really good. That's a smart
That's
idea.
adorable.
That's a smart
Yeah.
idea.
And I'm
However,
okay with
Michael,
that.
what are your thoughts? You haven't talked much about this.
Oh no, I summarized my thoughts in a sentence, which was, did you know that it's a 9-volume light novel? Because I don't think the show did.
Yeah,
Do you feel it
The
should be in
show
this top three?
seemed to be setting up what
so much.
You were very upset when it went off. Do you think it should be in this top 3?
with this ending. No,
Okay.
I think just like the most frustrating part of this entire show, with all of its like kind of pretty it was so good for like 7 episodes, right? That scene where he's crying in the rain, losing his mind, and then God Lolly appears before him and it's like boom to the Back to the
Oh.
Future. Absolutely the peak of the show. Fantastic rating up until that point, right?
What's the fucking line Lolly delivers? Hey ya. What
Hey,
is
yeah.
she? What,
She has the
doesn't she
Kansai
s-
dialect.
you're talking
Yeah.
about Yeah Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Fucking
Yeah
kills
Man, and then
me.
Shinowaki like a minute later saying, "What in tarnation happened?"
Yeah, that's
I
nothing
li-
new for her.
It goes back to Spanish. Yeah, but we got that. But like the most frustrating thing is like for me, this entire show with everything was just episode 11 and the start of it, where it's like episode 10, I'm gonna do something. Cuts to black, right? Episode 11, I have this entire plan prepared, pretty ready to go. Already spent the budget, already organized the team, already had the idea. You're gonna prove it anyways because I said so. Because the plot demands it. Instead of like,
It's
imagine if he makes the stand, right? He makes the stand and then proposes, I'll fix this. Give me 2 weeks, right? And then comes back with this huge plan, has the budget diverted, has the personnel, they're
like
gun and hoe, boom. So much better. But
I-
like just the fact that like it seemed like he was like some completely out of this, staying out of it, not gonna fuck with
Yeah.
anything anymore, but also was already ready to immediately fuck with it.
That-
Was so infuriating.
that's the bigger problem. The fact that he wanted to stay out of it, that he was so reluctant, because I can believe that he is a character based on everything we've learned so far would have had this plan backed up.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't him who did it, but the person whose like body he took over, the him from that timeline. Like I could imagine even the him from that timeline had this stuff fucking planned out. Like I would believe that. That's just the type of person he is. But the fact that he's so hesitant make me go, why? What was your reasoning besides just being a... Yeah, Michael and I make this joke every time he cries on screen of just his daughter going, Daddy, why you such a bitch? Because he just
Why is my
cries.
dad
He
such a
cries
bitch?
so much at the end of that episode. The other really funny thing that we had from the last 2 episodes is when fucking his daughter's like, Mommy, did you know Mommy can draw? And it's a picture of her. And I go, notice how she also didn't draw the horse, because no one can draw the horse. This was a trap. The show set this trap. No one could draw that horse properly. She just let her husband take the fall.
It was all a joke about the animation.
she can only draw
industry the whole
people. She
time.
can't draw fucking animals, so she just delegated it to the husband.
Well, that's the trick. No
she
one knows
quit
how to draw a
drawing because
horse.
her daughter wanted horses
Yeah.
and she gave up.
But did we watch anything? Dodge, did you finish anything else too on top of that or no?
Yeah, I also finished Life Lessons with Mason.
Oh, okay.
No, you didn't.
Oh wait, I did just on my own. I finished
You
Life
did
Lessons on
that.
my own. That's right. I did it when I was at school.
I was about to say,
On Tuesday,
I wish
between
I
classes.
had finished life lessons.
It's Life Lessons. I didn't love the ending. I didn't hate it. Both Life Lessons are remake out of 7 for different reasons. Life Lessons good. It's funny. It still has those moments. Episode 12 takes a very serious tone that it was really kind of off. Or episode 13 and episode 12 is just like it's this whole plot line of like, oh my god, that fucking image. The main idea is like Usao-kun thinks he overhears like I'm gonna spoil a little bit of this because it doesn't affect the comedy. Basically, his idea is that like he thinks that Uramichi's leaving when really he's just leaving his gym because it closed, so he's going to a different gym or something. And then episode 13 is all about Usao-kun breaking the fourth wall and basically saying like this needs to be a big finale. Something important has to happen, and it keeps cutting to different scenes where it's like your tropes happen, but then it fails because it's Usao-kun, and then the trope happens and it fails like over and over and over again for him or Usahara rather. Sorry, I keep saying Usao, wrong name. But basically Usahara keeps eating shit for 2 episodes, which is always good. But yeah, I mean it's good. It's life lessons. It was entertaining. I don't hate it. I also caught up on Boruto. Funny enough,
I heard it's really good
during
right
this
now.
break. Stuff happens. I'm not gonna spoil it. Stuff
I
happens.
heard it's
Animation's
really good
cool.
right now. That's what everybody in that Ashen Discord keeps saying, is that it's really good. And
I
I don't
Dylan,
know how Sean has missed
Here's the
some
thing,
of the
I
big
think-
current.
I
think-
have
spoilers.
avoided every single
I think-
Boruto spoiler on the planet. I've
I'm
seen
gonna
nothing
come
about
out-
what's
I
going
don't
on
know
right now.
how he can do that. I literally go
I'm-
on YouTube and 8 of my community posts are the same fucking thing.
It's because of the people you follow on YouTube.
No, I don't follow any of the people of those community posts.
I
They
think
just
I'm gonna-
appeared.
Then I think I'm gonna have the most lukewarm take ever. I think Boruto's kind of overrated then, because I don't think it's just kind of mid. But like, I mean, it's just Naruto with like, it's just like Boruto is basically just like waiting for Naruto and Sasuke to fuck shit up.
I mean,
That's all
fair.
it is. That's all it is. It's just you're sitting there like going like, yeah, but like when are Naruto and Sasuke gonna get involved and just like fucking body people? Like that's just what half these episodes boil down to. And then like when it happens, you're like, let's go! Oh, look at the form! Oh, look at the moves! I'll do it. And like their whole excuse of like, everyone's immune to ninjutsu now, so everyone has to use taijutsu all the time.
I'm not gonna
Bullshit.
complain.
I'm
I'm
kind-
not gonna complain though.
I'm not gonna complain because the animation's always fucking perfect for it, but I'm gonna complain because it's the same fucking shit every time, and I can only watch people punch each other so much before I'm like, they're just doing the same moves, like at least animated differently. Like
When Mason is caught up, I will post the Boruto meme of what do you mean he's immune to Rasengan? Because I can't post it till Mason's caught up because it has a lot of spoilers in it, but it's my favorite bit of a conversation between Shikamaru and Naruto where Naruto's just like, what do you mean he's immune to Rasengan?
Naruto's like, I made that
Hey,
shit. You kidding me? Have you seen
Hey,
mine?
wait, hold on. I want to know the context so badly for this, but I
Just the
also don't want it
Rasengan
spoiled.
doesn't work on him. It's just he's
He's
Rasengan
immune.
proof. No, but Mason, did you finish anything else from the season?
Let me check.
While he's
Um,
checking, what about you guys?
I did. I finished
Oh.
a lot of stuff. I talked
I did not.
briefly. Okay.
Are you feeling peachy about it?
I talked before that. I talked.
Oh
briefly...
yeah, we did that.
I mean, yes, technically, you
Right.
also did that with me.
I
missed a
missed like a
couple of
few of
the
the
in-between.
episodes.
Before
it's fine.
that, I mentioned in our Villainess special episode that I finished Spirit Chronicles and Moonlit. I think Spirit Chronicles is the weaker of the two. I think if someone tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. And that's just because people seem to really like Spirit Chronicles. It feels like a very bland isekai comparatively to Moonlit. Spirit Chronicles is good. I like it. It's a solid like high 7. Very good. Better than a lot of some of the other isekais I've watched recently. It's gonna continue. It's already booked for a second season, as is Moonlit. Moonlit, however, is really funny. Uses the cast of characters it has really well. And then it has one episode that feels rushed and like they're blitzing through it, and then you watch, and that's episode 10, and then you watch episode 11 and you realize the reason they did that is because episode 11 is about
need
to
to get
shoot your
spot.
fucking brain out. It is such a good episode. Michael caught a scene of it just on like a Crunchyroll clip. I don't know why Crunchyroll would fucking clip that scene out of context.
Spoilers.
Out of context, I can understand why people are like, that's kind of brutal. That's kind of on like some of the fucked up anime shit levels. And really, in context, it's not. The scene's incredibly well earned. It's such a good moment in the show. And then they just go hog wild for the end of episode 11 and episode 12. And they end the show on a really solid point where you know it's gonna pick up and be good, and it's gonna pick up with the second season, I think, in winter.
So Crunchyroll likes to do that
I
too,
know.
where they will literally clip something from like the second to last episode of an anime or like of the season, and they'll just post it fucking
Oh, they'll clip
everywhere.
every fucking like minor skirmish in Boruto ever.
Yeah.
Like the current big Boruto spoiler thing.
Yeah,
that was, I think
Naruto
the first thing I saw was the thumbnail for a Crunchyroll video,
Haven't
and then it
seen
wasn't like
Yeah.
6 community posts.
I've
See,
avoided
the bigger one is a spoiler I fucking saw on Twitter over the chapter after it.
But as was mentioned, yes, I finished Peach Boy Riverside.
I'm
So
sorry.
Michael dropped this in chat for me, but for those listening at home, here's your correct watch order if you ever want to watch Peach Boy Riverside. Episode 4, Episode 1 and 2, Episode 7. Ain't that funny how that one works? Then Episode 11, then Episode 12, then Episode 5, 6,
We bowed
then
out at
3,
4, right?
then
Or 5?
8, then 9, then 10. We bailed out at
It's like 5, right?
I want to say we
Six?
bailed out
bailed
at
five.
6.
No, we
We-
bailed out at 5.
No, 6.
No, because
5
6
was where the
six
pop
is
boy
the
thing.
6 is
We
the
finished
second.
5.
Yes, we bail out after 6 because
Okay.
episode 6 was the episode with
We're on the same page.
it ends the vampire arc.
Oh, okay.
So that's episode 6, and then it's really funny because you might notice there I said that the show's final episode, episode 12, you should watch 6th in the show. It's its midway point. I don't know why. I don't know why they close on a scene where the characters are leaving to go to a town that you already know they've been at, because at that point when you watch it in their watch order, you've already seen them do it. The end of episode 10 is a much better ending. It ends on a much better conclusion for the characters that sets up where they will go if the show ever gets a second season.
Please, for the love of God, do not animate a second season with how it sounds.
If they do, I just hope they do it correctly. And the most frustrating thing is when we watch this show, we're like, you know what? Episode 3, really strong cliffhanger, does really good work for the show. And then you think about where episode 2 left off, which is where the town gets exploded and, you know, you're left there as the whole entire kingdom's behind them in ruins. Even better place to actually cliffhang you on your 3rd episode, because that would be the 3rd episode you would watch regularly. You would watch that, and then you would immediately pick up with the resolution of it, and you would watch the characters grow from it. It's very frustrating. It's so difficult to explain how fucking cool Hawthorne is as a human character who is not power scaled properly to the rest of the party, and how much great work they do for him by the end of the show, and you just don't get any of it because it's all relegated to the second half of what they show when it would have been relegated to the early middle. It's very frustrating, incredibly frustrating. And there's a couple of things that just kind of get a little wonky with how and where they show them. It's very frustrating to me, some of the decisions they make, and I'll never fully understand the decision to translate characters who don't have names into having names, because it just loses a lot of impact. The other thing I will say is, in all honesty, if you don't want to watch anything of Peach Boy, just do yourself a favor and watch episode 9. Episode 9 is Makoto's backstory episode. You can watch it entirely on its own. It does fit really well where it is, and that's in the right spot either way, because episodes 8, 9, and 10 do lead into each other properly, like they should. And where Makoto winds up at the end of episode 8, it makes sense for you, the viewer, to get his flashback. It's really cool. It's predominantly in black and white, or at least in like color drained. It's color drained.
It's like sepia tone.
Yeah. It's really cool because you learn a lot more about like the Momotaro that Makoto takes the title from. A lot of things make a lot of sense about Makoto by the time you're done watching it, and it has some of the best scenes in the show in it, hands down. Its artwork's incredible because they do a lot of blood splatter in that style of artwork, and it looks really cool. It's the only thing worth watching if you're going to watch it, in all honesty.
It's almost like 8, 9, and 10 is like some of the best
really
stuff they
good.
did for the
Yeah,
show.
and
In all honesty, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all really solid.
You just shouldn't watch them in that order.
You just have to get to
You
them.
can get there,
Yeah.
which is its own experience.
And
Yeah,
honestly,
the issue also is that 12 shouldn't happen there.
Yeah,
Nor
it's
with 8, 9, and 10,
frustrating.
where they are.
It's really frustrating because like you listen to the song, you listen to the show's OP, like you kind of engage with its characters, and outside of like the random fucking tentacle bit that stops happening at the midway point of the show, no matter how you watch it, by the way, it stops at the midway point of the show. They never use it again because there's never a point they can fit it in, because the show at that point is actually following pure plot they have to
They're just
keep
like,
up
fuck,
with.
we ran out of bits. Fuck,
Damn,
what do we
there's
do?
no good place.
Plot? I
There
guess
is
plot? I don't know.
one
We
place
progressed the
you
story,
could
maybe? I don't know.
put that tentacle bit in, and it's when Sally gets grabbed by the Trione, which we didn't get to see because that's in episode fucking 12.
And she's just like a
um,
flashback to fucking tentacles or
Like,
something.
you could do that there, but the show understands that that's a very important scene, and it uses it the way it should. It's very
Wow.
good. The end of it's wonderful.
So unfortunate that from what I hear of you talking about this show, it would actually have been really good if it just followed it chronologically, as
It-
opposed to throwing fucking putting up episode numbers
Yeah.
on a dartboard and just fucking tossing.
It would probably be a high 7, low 8 for me if it was aired properly. In the order it's aired, it's like a 5. I can't even I would never recommend someone watch it in its in the order they aired it. It's so bad, and it's so very clear that it was that they jumbled it because they end episode 7 on a cliffhanger that episode 11 immediately picks up off of, and you go, "Wow, this is weird." If you're watching it in the order they presented in, it's dumb. It's very frustrating.
Yep. The only thing I can think of is why they did them out of order.
Hey,
was
kids like
ca-
the Danganronpa show that did that, right?
It's because ending with 12 ends you on a big fight that Sally's in,
Yes.
while ending with episode 10 does not.
Ending with episode 10 is a good conclusion for everyone else, though. It makes the whole party feel stronger, and it leaves your villain of the series in a very compelling state to be a villain. Whereas
You know
if you
what's really
end
cool
on
about that, though?
episode 10, it doesn't.
I mean,
Like,
12.
they said, here's the thing: you could just cut 11 and
12.
12, or reorganize it properly, or you could elongate that part about the vampire bit, like you said was in the manga, which they didn't do, and they just cut them into like one episode, and you're really confused as to what's going on.
I haven't even gotten to the vampire stuff in the manga because it's after the Trione stuff, which I haven't gotten to.
God,
Like I have to read that's my next thing is I'm gonna read the manga.
that sounds like an experience.
On the bright side, I watched the show that was also, I watched and finished a show from the season that was also a wonderful experience that was basically a palate cleanser for me after this, and that is I finished The Duke of Death and His Maid. That show's incredible. I don't know where I'm putting it on my rating scale yet. I have to kind of sit and let it go. I feel like I'm going to rate it too high because I feel like the middle and early, like the middle going into the end of the show, kind of like the characters kind of middle their time around, and it kind of feels like nothing gets done. But also, every single character interaction between the main cast is very important for the build up to the end of the show. And by far, as hard as it is for me to say, because there are a lot of good EDs this season, The Duke of Death and His Maid is by far my favorite ED because the way it plays out the scenes in each episode hurts me. I watch the show, the ED starts to play over certain scenes, and it literally gets me emotional. And especially how they close the final episode of that show. They don't play the ED at the end. They play the ED very close to the end to play over a very good scene, and then they end it out with how they want to end it out. It's very good. It's very clearly going to continue. The main conflict isn't resolved, but they resolve a different conflict that becomes very apparent needs to be resolved as you're watching. It's very good. It's by far probably my favorite romance of this season. And I think Alice is very much best girl, and if she's not best girl and you don't think so, you can find another 2 best girls in that show.
Find the door.
There's a lot of them in that show that work really well. And it's really good. The emotion that last episode got at me, there were numerous times where I was watching a scene where Ed and I would just go, ha! Because I really liked it. It was just like, it made me emotional. I was very engaged with it.
That's always fun.
The CG might be a little hard at times. I think it's not an issue. They also eventually play that show's OP instrumental over a scene, and that hurts and is lovely. No, it's a wonderful experience. It's probably a very high 9 on my list. Just right now, but I haven't decided where to put it. Otherwise, I don't think I finished anything else. I did not finish Battle Game.
No,
I finished something that'll lead us back into the actual podcast.
Oh well, Michael and I watched something else.
Yeah, I've watched other things. I haven't finished other things yet because that's
finished Realist Hero.
But we can hold on that to transition.
And I finished all of Realist Hero.
Hey, Michael, do you want to quick talk about the stuff you're watching that you haven't finished?
Yeah. So earlier today, I decided to sit down and go do the thing I started doing a bit ago, which was get more into Aquatope. I am now through episode 8. It's still doing Aquatope things. We're getting a lot of stuff with all of the side characters and their like dreams and aspirations and backstory for them, and it's all really good. It's still Aquatope, so it's still being slow. They still just be vibing. But it's still a good time. We get some really, really beautiful bits. Yeah. Good show. Would recommend.
I talked a couple weeks ago. It's been a while now because it would have been around episode 8 I talked about this.
Yeah.
I was watching Kageki Shoujo. And I decided to have Michael watch more of that tonight before we started podcasting, so he can talk about that.
Yeah, Kageki Shoujo is I think I'm only 5 episodes in right now.
You just finished 6,
Ah,
I think. Yeah.
yeah, I got okay. Kageki Shoujo, if you don't remember, is a story about 2 girls who join performing arts school to be actors for a
All female troop.
an acting troupe. Yeah. And it is essentially best way to explain it is that it is a slightly comical, but only slightly when it feels like being comical, slice of life about being in performing arts school for an acting troupe. And it very much understands what the life is like to be in a performing arts school for an acting troupe.
A high-profile performing arts school. Let's clarify that. Like,
Holy
this
shit!
shit-
Does this show randomly just turn a fucking switch in the middle of an episode or in the middle of a scene to just gut punch you and stab you and
This
not
show
pull it out
looks-
until an episode
This
and a
show
half
looks
later?
like it belongs in like 2005 by its art style.
The
in
show's
preview.
wonderful.
I
But
really
it
like
sounds
how it
really good.
looks, and its characters are great. They have some really great animated scenes, like Michael was saying. When it bounces from to humor, the humor's done really well, and the characters move very fluidly in the show. It's very
Yeah.
nice.
The show technically has 2 main characters. If you look at the posts, it's 2 girls in the middle. It's Sarasa, the tall blonde one, and I, the short,
Blue hair.
the shorter with blue hair. Sarasa's also gimmick is that she is a country person. The other one's gimmick is that they are an ex-idol who hates men for reasons that are
Oh,
explained.
same.
Yeah, right. Oh no,
Um,
and the show very much makes you agree with her for her stance. Trust
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Holy shit! This episode.
That's
Boys are
episode
bad. I
3.
think it
It's
was.
episode 3.
I'm just saying, man. I've been saying to girls for years, boys are bad. That's why I don't date them.
Yeah. It's-
Ru-
It's really great because episode 3, like, really kind
Pretty
of
good line, isn't it? Pretty good line.
Episode 3 really digs into you, and then you get a resolution and breather at episode 4, and then you get kind of a little bit of breather for half episode 5, and then the end half episode 5 just again guts you. It's very good. The cast in this
Oh.
show, the teachers, the girls at the school, they're all wonderful.
Sarasa is, I mean,
gem.
from what I've watched, definitely best girl of the shows
She's
I've
very
watched
good.
of this season. Sarasa's wonderful.
Mason, have you watched anything else before we let Dodge talk?
We're not going to talk. I'm just
Oh,
going to say I
okay.
read all Real Zero. We can just, I'll talk about that. If you guys want to talk about that afterwards, about
We'll see.
specifics, we'll talk about
I
it.
mean, so I haven't watched any more of Haikyuu because I'm still on the idea of I want to watch that with
Yes.
you guys.
With the boys.
Where are you in Naruto
Um,
Shippuden?
Still only episode 3. Like,
Okay.
it's not Jiraiya. What's his hand boy? Mouth with the hands. Hands with
Datara.
the Datara.
Datara.
Yeah,
Boy.
Datara.
Oh.
Datara dropped into the Sand Village, and Gaara's just waiting for
Oh.
him
Yeah,
like a
you're at
homie.
the start of
That shit's at the start of
Yes.
Shippuden?
Well,
Yes.
That's the first
episode
arc.
Holy
episode
fuck.
1 starts in a very odd place, and I'm still never sure how I feel about it. If I'm correct about that, Mason, right?
Okay,
episode
yeah,
1 starts
so
with the
episode-
Sasuke stuff, right?
Yeah, so episode 1 literally starts with they're in some fucking ruins, running
Oh.
around, and then they come
Oh,
into
right.
like they're in like a tunnel system, and they come out into a like, there's a circle that's in the ground that the tunnels lead into, and they look up, and Sasuke is just standing there, and is like, "What's up, guys? It's me, ya boy."
And there are
Boy.
characters you, Mason, don't know in that scene.
Yes,
It's a
and
very
then-
odd. I know why they opened the show like this. I think
Naruto does that a fucking lot.
it's a very odd decision, but I think I like it.
Well, and then it cut like it. They're like, "Oh yeah, Sasuke, come back to the Leaf Village," and Sasuke's like, "Nah, I don't need you guys."
No.
But also, hey Naruto, and just teleports right next to him with a knife at his throat.
Maiwa.
Wait. It
Moiwa
starts
Yes!
there?
It starts
Yes!
on that episode.
Yes!
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what.
Yeah,
the
See,
second
I
you
thought this
start
was just like
talking
a
about
little
that- wait
teaser
minute.
about where Sasuke was. I didn't
No,
think it
and-
straight up fucking
No.
goes, and now we're
No.
gonna flashback and explain how this happened.
No, and then it proceeds by
Mhm.
going. So he starts swinging this sword into Naruto, and then it cuts into Naruto talking to the nine-tailed fox within himself, and Sasuke is just there and goes,
Yep.
"Oh, so this is what you had inside you all this time," and then just destroys the nine-tailed fox. Just, just hanging out. Just
Get out of here.
gone.
I'm busy. We're having a conversation. Do you mind?
Yeah. So, and
That's
then
right.
and then it cuts to Naruto coming back to the Leaf Village,
Mhm.
as if none of that shit ever happened.
Because it
And I'm just
hasn't
sitting
yet.
here-
I'm excited to go find Sasuke. After all
Yeah,
my
and then
training,
they
2
do the
years.
Bell Test 2.0.
Yeah, and now
Yeah.
you're getting into. I mean, for what it's worth, I think Shippuden does the right thing with starting off with stuff with Gaara, because I think the Sand Village Ninjas are some of the most compelling supporting cast characters in the
Well,
franchise.
And also, like, it's nice because all of them are actually good guys now, and I don't have to worry about them betraying everyone. Also, Gaara isn't as fucking edgy as he used to be. He's just a good boy now.
Do
Yeah.
you watch the show subbed?
No, I watched it dubbed.
Oh, so you get to enjoy Liam O'Brien.
Liam
in
O'Brien.
his full.
Liam O'Brien.
I am
Gaara's
very angsty and upset about my life.
He does Gaara justice compared to with the.
He really does.
His
Both
Gaara's
are
outstanding.
great. Like the sub and the dub are great for that. So.
I don't know. It's just really funny watching it and going, man, I just watch literally all of these people play D&D every Thursday.
I'm getting caught up in that too.
Campaign 3's coming.
I'm so
2
excited.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3
Cool.
weeks. I
Is
do
Thursday
need
yet?
to. I'm currently almost finished with campaign 2. I just have to listen to the last episode, but the last episode is 7 hours.
I just
Me
realized,
too. I'm very close as well, Mason.
I just realized that they're gonna air the first episode and then take a week off because of how the new schedule is. God, I fucking hate them. They're doing that on purpose to us.
Of course they are.
It's probably gonna be a long first episode. That's why.
Yeah. Are we ready to talk about our
Ready.
episode though? So
Alright.
you've been
Oh, boy.
reading. Unfortunately, it isn't the show we're gonna start
No.
talking about, but
It's not. But I have read all 13 light novels that are translated and on Bookwalker. Shout out to bookwalkers.us. Sponsor us, please. But this shit's good. It's the same shit. It's good. We can talk about more of what happens after the show if you guys are curious,
Yeah.
morbidly curious about things and events that take place that the show does not cover quite yet. But that is the second show we'll talk about.
yeah.
14th novel comes out in 3 weeks, by the way, on the 25th.
Speaking of
Um,
shows, we should express that we watched one additional episode of Vanitas because we stopped only with one episode left for it. We then watched 2 episodes of Realist and Sunny Boy. Hey Mason, you want to talk about this last episode of Vanitas?
Hey, yeah. So, we start off with Jean and Vanitas are together after their date. Jean is
People.
very cute. Vanitas is very horny.
It's very cute.
Jean is very cute. Vanitas is very horny, and Jean accidentally just gives up her plan to Vanitas instantly because he knew all the time. And Vanitas asks Jean like, "What's going on with Luca?" Because he's surprised that Luca let Jean go for this long. And we learn that Luca is with his brother. You know, the one that's a curse bearer. And his brother's name is Loki.
Mhm.
And then he goes, "Well, who knows you're here?" And she says that Ruthven knows. And this sets Vanitas off instantly, and he goes running to try and find Noe. When
His
he gets
boyfriend's in
Noe-
danger.
When he gets back to the hotel, Noe's just conked out on the bed. Perfectly fine. And then we find out that Ruthven essentially has fucking Gias from Code Geass.
He
and
does,
can
doesn't
just-
he?
Horny
literally
Gias.
just-
So Gia.
Yeah. And then Roland starts doing some research on or not Roland,
Dante.
Dante. I don't know why I don't know why I have.
Well, we have a Roland scene in this episode too, so maybe it is Roland. I don't remember what order it comes in. Roland
It is Dante.
Okay.
It is Dante doing the research, though. Dante ends up doing some research on the history of vampires and humans.
No, this is Roland.
Oh no, it is Roland.
This
You're
is
right.
Roland, yep.
And it's specifically to see like how the whole hating of vampires came about. And we get a good scene where Roland, first admits that he has changed his mind about vampires because he has new information that is presented to him. We also get a scene with him and his best bud Olivier, where he goes, "Hey, Olivier, how many Chessers do you think I could fight on my own? Probably like 5 or 6. But if it was you, I'd be pretty hard pressed about it. Which is basically saying, hey, I will fight every day, every motherfucker in this place, but I really don't want to fight you because you're my friend. Um, and then we get our segue into what's going to happen in season 2 with Dante saying, "Hey, the Beast of Givaudan is back, who has murdered a ton of people, um, murdered a bunch of women and children out in this like farmland of France." Meanwhile, Dante is explaining this. Noe is going batshit insane because he wants to drink Venice's blood. Cinematography is really good there. And Vanitas tells him, "You fucking drink my blood and see my memories, I'll kill you. I'll fucking do it."
I'll do it again.
And then we see a character that totally won't be important in season 2 when Noe and Vanitas go to a train stop, and then
Nope, not at all. Pink hair, don't care.
and then we see who our most likely villain is for season 2, and that's how season 1 ends. And overall, I think this show was fucking amazing.
Also, season 2 shows that we're gonna be in a snowy environment for a part of it, and vampire blood in the snow. Oh baby, sign me up.
Joran?
Good.
No.
Hopefully.
Don't sign me up. Don't sign me up. Abort.
I think
Abort.
this show is gonna look very
Back to the
pretty in the
city.
snow.
I agree.
I'm excited
Maybe
for
it should-
season 2 a lot,
should
and I
call
agree
it.
with you, Mason. I really, really like Vanitas as a show.
Vanitas was literally a show that I saw the trailer of and I thought, yeah, this is going to be your generic vampire show and an action show. And then I watched it and I went, okay, so it is a vampire action shonen show, but it is very much not generic, and
No.
it does what it does very
Very.
well. It is probably my favorite vampire show ever, and that is including real life stuff, like not just anime.
It's pretty fire.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as someone who has watched both Helsing, Helsing Ultimate, and Helsing Ultimate Abridged.
Does Trigun have vampires in it?
What?
Does Trigun have vampires in it?
I don't think it does.
I didn't remember if any of the characters were vampires, and enough
I
to
don't
classify it as a vampire show.
I don't think any of the characters in that are technically classified as vampires.
Okay.
I think they're either like ghouls or something
Mhm.
like that.
Okay, I was just checking because that would be a very high bar to clear. 'Cause I know people really like Trigun. No, I think this episode, for one, as a closing episode, does a really good job of tying together episode 11 to the current plot by having Vanitas make the connection he does. I think it's really well done for something that I didn't necessarily think was needed or had to happen, but it does. I also appreciate that the show decides that on its last episode, yeah, we get a little more of Noe and Vanitas just being Noe and Vanitas, you know. Haha, are they gay? Probably, but probably not. We'll see.
It's not gay. It's in a three-way.
And we
Checkmate.
also now have this looming Ruthven order for season 2. Like season 2 has a lot you have to consider as you go into it, which will be very nice for it. In terms of this season, I also don't think they inherently leave too much that is dire and pressing in the open. I feel like most of the major conflicts have been resolved or can't physically be resolved yet. Like everything lines up really well, I think, for this show.
Yeah, I don't really like the overarching Jujutsu Kaisen. Something's gonna happen at some point. I don't really like those too much, but I think Venice does a really good job with it, and the show itself is just so banger all throughout that it's hard to question it because you're like, I know you're gonna follow through in some sick way, but I'm watching you. But yeah, I think this show did a really good job throughout. It never really had a lull moment, and even when it did, it was just so visually stunning, and all the characters are so enjoyable that you're like, I like this Moe stuff too. This is adorable. We could just have more of the daily life of my teenage vampire, but then it hits the serious tones, and it's like, I want to see what happens when things get messy again. We actually really didn't have that much combat in this show when you think about it. It was all front loaded in the first half of the season, and the second half was almost all social interactions and just discussion.
The only fight
So-
we get really is the Roland fight, which is beautiful, but
Yeah.
it's the only fight we really get. Also, because the Roland fight made me think about it, the lighting in this episode's insane. It's fucking
cinematography.
beautiful.
Okay, the cinematography in the scene where Noe is losing his mind is so good. It's so well done.
Even though it's just literally him being like, I know I shouldn't be horny, but like, man, he smelled good though. And I know I'm hungry, but like, man, it sounds kind of sweet. Like,
What do you what do you want to do about this beast, Noi? I want it's gonna be delicious. I'll eat it. You'll
Fine.
what? I'm sorry. You're gonna do what to it?
I just want to suck your blood. I suck your dick. I mean, blood. Suck your blood. Like, it's so good.
What would you like to drink? Your blood. Yeah, I mean your blood. I mean your blood.
You? Um,
Your
ta-
dick?
nice.
I mean, your
Can I
dick?
get a nice tall glass of Vanita? I mean, Vinny's nuts, but, but yeah, this show's just really good. Like, this, how much can we say about this show that hasn't already been said? Like, everything hits. The show has its highs. The show doesn't really have any lows.
Like legitimately, I can't think of a single episode where I was like, yeah, that was an episode. Like every episode I was very engaged and very like I was enjoying watching it.
every episode had something happening
I think
somewhere.
the closest argument you can make is is the pickup episode. Like that closes out the vampire meeting. But even then, I think that episode has a lot going on that's important in the long run for the show. That even if
Yeah.
on the week it aired, it was kind of like I think in retrospect, it's like no, that was good. You
Yeah.
introduce
Yeah.
a lot of very powerful characters and very important scenes, and Vanitas and Noise interactions very much color Noise future interactions or views of Vanitas.
Venice was very much a show where it's like every week there might have been shows that had like a better episode or had like a higher high, but like every week Vanitas is in that top 5 somewhere, right? Usually the top 3.
I don't think it ever went below 4 for me on any given
I
week.
think it might have once for me, but I don't.
mean,
I don't even know that.
I'm pretty
but-
sure this was consistently my number 1 or 2. I don't think it ever dipped
yeah.
to 3 on my personal list, and I think it by far had the most time in the number 1 slot for me. But I know that's not inherently the case for everybody.
It definitely had most. It was generally number 1. I think for
I
think
can just
8
tell
out
you.
of the 9.
I can check and tell you.
Yeah.
Hi,
honestly.
this show good. That's what we're saying.
I
now.
have the records
Yeah.
to show. So, if Michael, you want to talk while I dig those up.
I mean, yeah, I will say the show was very good. I could say that there was no episode I looked like. I can't think back to any episode I think was a bad episode. I could think back to scenes that I did not like, because
Yeah.
as much as it's like a whole thing where it's like, wow, that's like the common thing with the aphrodisiac and whole vampires biting you in a lot of media is shown as a very sexual type of thing. I was not a fan of any of the times that Vanitas and Jean got super fucking horny during the biting bits. I think the ones in the final episodes weren't bad because they were short and they weren't nearly as fucking horny as the end of episode 3 was. Because my god, the
That
end of
was
episode
bad.
3 actually fucking pissed me off.
No, that's completely fair. I can totally give you that one. It was. This show knows that it's horny, and sometimes it goes a little too hard on
Yeah.
that point.
But I do think a lot of like everything else the show does is really good.
Mhm.
For reference sake, I had Vanitas in my number 1 slot 6 times. Michael had it in there twice. Dodge had it 4 times, and Mason had it 5 times. And there were a couple of moments, particularly it seems like week 4, was a week where Vanitas often slipped out of the top 2 slots into like third or fourth place. And I think that's because that was the week where Realist and Sunny Boy had really good episodes. Because I think that seems to be the pattern they're looking at it, is that those 2 were the ones higher. And Remake occasionally boosted into higher slots too, which had an influence as well. Just as a note in terms of data. So I think it'll be no surprise knowing that, I came into these final episodes really not really needing much from Vanitas, but hoping it still closed really strong. And for me, the show definitely met that for me. Whereas the other 2 shows, I'll say, I definitely needed things from them going into top 3 for me personally.
Mhm.
And I know that may be different, and we can talk about how that may be different. Mason, you're not gone yet.
No.
You get to talk again.
So we got 2 episodes of Relist. I'm just gonna kind of give the cliff notes. Elfrieden goes to war with Amadonia because they're trying to take the capital city of Van. Uh, the he's not the king, but like their version of a king. Takes a bomb to the face.
Gaius is the king.
But the title isn't technically king, is what I mean.
Yeah, true.
But Gaius takes a bomb to the face. He takes a shit ton of arrows and gets the Boromir treatment, and then still almost kills Soma by chucking his sword at him. And then Soma takes Van. He institutes essentially a cultural renaissance for them because hey, when you suddenly become a non-militaristic state, you can actually enjoy freedom and do things, and they enjoy doing things. And then she excuse me, let me just read through my notes real fast.
Yeah,
We also get introduced to a new race, which is a child race that isn't actually children. It's shown for like 3 seconds during their
they don't
whole
talk about it, but it is a
yeah.
thing.
So they're Lalafell from Final Fantasy XIV, which I hate. And then we finally see the Empire, and it turns out the Empire is not this big, like looming overarching villain that we're gonna deal with. They're actually pretty chill, turns out. Because their leader is a woman named Maria Euphoria, who is known as the Saint of the Empire, um, who treats literally everyone equally, and she's an idealist. And then she has a sister who runs their armed forces, named Jean, who is a realist. Jean shows up when Soma is having a family fun day with Juna and Tomoe, and basically says, "Hey, what's your end goal?" And he goes, "Look, I just wanted to make sure that my country is free. I'm just kind of filling in until someone else shows up that's better." Um, and then she goes, "Yeah, okay, that's fine. Also, we're very sorry for you getting summoned here because that's kind of our bad. We were just trying to help Elfrieden like not have to pay the tax and then also not get fucked over by the countries who signed the agreement. So we're at fault for summoning you here. We're really sorry." Um, and then um, and then we just get a cute scene of someone giving gifts that he bought when he was at his family fun day, um, to Lycia and Aisha, and then that's the end of season 1. That's it.
We'll see you in season 2.
See you in season 2.
They're a little preoccupied right now.
Oh, combat still looks fucking terrible in this
That's
show.
pretty bad.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I think. Oh yeah, also monkeys. We talk about monkeys for a bit. I
Monkeys?
forgot about that.
Yeah, we talk about orangutans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get Poncho.
Yeah,
Shows
we
up
talked
Boy.
for a
like,
bit. He hasn't
hey,
been in the show for like 70 episodes.
because
Dude, Poncho's a
literally,
homie though.
they're like, hey, so you know that whole like we don't have food thing? Yeah, now Amadonia is gonna go through that, or specifically Van, and we need to fix that. And he goes, well, there are these cool like lily roots that have an excuse me, that have a hallucinogenic effect, but their roots are really good. Um, and someone was like, well, shit, we can't really harvest them if you start tripping if you go near them. And he's like, well, actually, turns out
Monkey.
we've got
Monkey.
monkeys that
Monkey
do it for us.
can.
It turns out monkey.
What's
Where
this
human
season?
can't,
What's this
monkey
season with
can.
monkeys?
And so
True.
I see no problem with it.
they pay the monkeys in booze to harvest these roots for them so
As you
that they can
should.
fix
As you should.
this food crisis for Vaughn.
Thank you, monkey.
Thank you, monkey. And yeah, that's it. Um Overall, I think the show was like really solid. I really enjoyed the fact that it never really treated the audience as if they were like too stupid to understand anything. It explained things when it had to, but it never went over in depth about it. Um, and it never really held your hand with a lot of things. It treated you like a actual observer of what's going on. And also like characters were good. Soma was just a genuinely fun character to watch, see him like figure out how to deal with these problems. Um, I dropped something.
I just thought of a much funnier name I could have used for the voting thing. Damn it.
Can't you edit your response?
Um, can I?
I
Oh,
don't know.
I haven't sent it in yet.
Well,
Aha.
there you go.
Ah,
I will say this is by far probably my biggest critique of this show. This is the least action show I've ever seen, and when it does do its action, it doesn't look great. The show definitely shines in every other aspect of its tags than in the action category.
yes.
I
It doesn't really
really,
do much action.
but when it does, it also doesn't look great.
No,
The
no,
best
for
looking
good
action
reason.
is the puppet. Um,
I love that puppet.
I like the characters a lot. As someone who's like who has engaged briefly with a lot of fantasy military shows that just kind of like travel their way through and isn't always great. Grand Crest. I think, and even then, I don't generally hate those aspects of those shows. This show probably does it the best, and I don't know if any show is gonna do it better. I haven't seen all of Log Horizons. So I don't know if that show handles stuff like this better than this does. Because I know that show inherently has a lot of conversation and diplomacy from what people have told me. Um, I like Realist. I don't think it does anything bad. Uh, I think it has solid episodes all around. And this is probably one of the things that is most important to me. I also don't think Realist really does anything spectacular. The best it does is its dialogue and like its characters in a setting that's been, it's an isekai. It handles the isekai stuff, I think, really well to set it apart from the rest of its genre. But I also don't really know if it pushes anything for me to like really elevate it too high, in my general opinion of it. That's kind of how I feel. I feel kind of similar to this as I did when we talked Villainess. Um, just this and Villainess do different things to very similar levels, I feel.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
I know
It's
you
This
it's
show
it's
is
a
a
kind
solid
struggle.
time. It's a solid time, but it doesn't do anything like particularly amazing. It's just that like, at the beginning of the season, we saw this. We're like, "Oh, this show's great because it's an isekai that doesn't suck."
And then we had a couple
Which, in all
of those.
honesty, there's a lot of isekais recently that aren't bad. It's just that we lived through the 4 year shit show that was shitty isekais. That was like
It still
2015 to
exists. No,
2018.
we're not done. It still exists.
Well,
We just
yeah.
True, but
we
all
just know
of
how to
them
pick
were bad
different-
from
We
that
just know how to
time.
pick ones that aren't just
There
shit.
was like one a year from that time that was good.
Yeah, the isekai
Yeah.
ratio of good to bad was not very favorable for us. But
True.
Michael, I do know that you generally aren't as big of a fan of the talky talk that this show does.
I mean, I think characters talking were fine. I think that there were a lot of bits where the show would just be like, and we're going to do exposition for 5 minutes. And I'd go, oh, wait, woo, explaining politics. My
Fair.
favorite.
That's fair.
This is my escape from school.
But you don't want to take 5 minutes to learn about supply and demand, and that's the one where it actually takes 5 minutes. That's the crazy thing.
That one,
The
no,
supply and
I give
demand
you-
one runs a little long.
that one ran
It-
a bit long. That is one point where I can say my previous statement of it never really holds your hand with that. No, okay, that one it does.
Sometimes it does hold your hand with stuff.
Just
We're
sup-
gonna-
And
just
it's
supply
really
and
things that
demand.
it shouldn't.
Yeah, other than that, I think the show is real solid. I enjoy all the characters. I mean, generally, I don't like love Poncho because a lot of what we get of him is just sweaty nerd otaku man, is what it feels like, who doesn't know how to talk good.
We
He stutters on like half of his fucking words.
We don't get nearly enough, and I don't even know his fucking name well enough because it's barely on screen.
Oh yeah,
The
you're
advisor.
talking about
Hakuya?
Sasuke?
Yeah, Haki. Yeah,
Hak-
we don't
Hakuya.
get barely enough of him in terms of his actual like character. I feel, which I hope is something that as the show keeps going, which we know it's going to.
Couple months.
It's winter, right? It's this and Venus is both winter.
January.
Yeah. I
bit.
really hope that we see more of him because I think he could be really interesting. Like I mentioned when we met him, I really like Soren and Ike's dynamic as a character, like a tactician and a soldier. In an odd way, like Soma's not a soldier like Ike. He's not kind of dumb like Ike. Uh,
I
but
fight for my
I
friends.
feel like they very much could have a very similar dynamic in the way that I'll like what they do. I just need more time with that character, that's for sure. But I mean, the characters this season chooses to focus on, I think they focus on well.
I think a lot of the reason that is because it's just there's so many characters, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many characters in this show. Like because you have all of
Yeah.
Soma's wives, you have all the councils, you
Hold
have
on,
the
they're not
army
wives
people, you
yet.
have the what?
They're not wives yet. Calm down there, light novel reader.
What? Sorry, all of the various women surrounding Soma in the harem show that you assume are going to become his wives, given that they've actually talked about it on screen. Thank you.
Much
I'm not just spoiling
better.
stuff. Thank
Much
you.
better.
His definitely not consorts because he's a womanizer, according to what rumors have said, and makes Juna awkward, and it's adorable.
That is a really good scene.
That entire scene with Jean is actually really well put.
Yeah.
First off, how the fuck did she get in their military uniform? Is my question. Just walking through the city in Empire uniform. Figure that would have been alerted earlier, but we'll gloss over that. Just talking about the 2 episodes and the show, I think the show does a really good job with the different dynamics of isekais. I think the characters are what makes the show good. Personally, I think it can drag on at times, and that's just going to come with the territory of what you're trying to explain. And as a light novel reader as well, that happens sometimes when they talk about stuff like Sun Tzu's Art of War and shit like that, and making decisive strikes and acts of cruelty and this stuff. Yeah, that shit can get boring. I'm not gonna lie, I skipped some of that. I'm like, that's like a page and a half of that shit. Okay, but yeah, I think I love how the characters interact with each other around Soma. I think Soma as a main character does a really good job of being a good main character, right? Like he's the
Yeah.
same person throughout the show, and I think the really good moment that I think kind of gets a little bit glossed over is when he's talking to Carla about I'm sending your command to Lycia. If I die, this and this and this, and then has that realization fuck, when did I just assume the role of a king? So suddenly I'm a king when really I should be afraid of dying. I should be afraid of this, but I'm using this as an excuse to to play with people's lives basically on a chessboard.
The whole bit with him crying on the battlefield because he's like, I don't want to be the guy that throws lives away, but I have to be right now.
But I am the king right now.
I do also really enjoy when he's talking with Joan. Is that it?
Jean.
And she's like, yeah, my sister thinks she can work things out with you, but I know it's not possible because she's an idealist and you're a realist, and I know this because I'm a realist and you're a realist. I'm like, oh good, I see we've established a realist love connection over here. This will be good for the future.
Really?
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
a realist hero.
Definitely Jean, wink.
I don't see a problem if it's both of them. I see a problem if it's just not her. I think that's misguided steps.
When we get to the council of hating our masters, we'll get there. We'll talk about that later. But I think that yeah, I really like a lot of what these episodes do. It does a pretty good job of setting up okay, stuff has to happen for season 2. Obviously, the Empire is coming. They have to talk about terms with Julius and Soma and Jean about what are we gonna do about Van, right? Because the declaration says we can't change borders, but we didn't sign the declaration and they technically invaded us. So it's well, on behalf of the declaration, we have to go buy this for them. But I also like the scene where it's Jean and Maria going, yeah, we fucking hate that we have to do this, but they'll get their dues eventually. We'll get there. And then we also have Aurora, who's apparently plotting stuff behind the scenes that we don't know much about. And we've seen her sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah.
But we don't really know much about Aurora.
I really
at all.
thought she was going to be a bigger deal in these last 2 episodes than she turned out to be because the show showed
Yeah, I wonder what her deal is.
Yeah, I wonder, Dosh. I will say, I think
No
the
idea.
other critique I do of this anime, and you reminded me of it, is that I do think, oddly enough, the way this show's episodes end always feels abruptly to me. And even the end
Yeah.
of this season felt a little abrupt. And it's kind of the odd thing where I'm I just don't know if it was just there's so much they got through, and sometimes it was just
Yeah.
not a good stopping point. So they're here, right here, we'll stop for now. We'll stop here. Which if you're benching this show, I don't think is really a problem. It's gonna be a real nice bench because you're just gonna go. But watching it week by week, there were a couple moments where I'm like, especially when we watched episode 12, I was like, that's the end of episode 12? Cool, okay, I guess we're going. It was interesting, I'll say, about its ending, like the endings for each episode. I do have some data. In terms of first place finishes on our weekly ratings, I put Realist in first twice. I will say they were both really early on. Michael and Mason never had Realist in first place, and Dosh had it there once. So I was the highest on it during the weekly ratings. So
that does sound about right.
I think it's in. I think Realist probably, if we tracked it, might have had a lot of 2s and 3 placements, probably, though, in comparison then. I think very often it just wasn't our favorite, or just wasn't the best episode of the week when we did our rating. Even on the week where it was really good, I think it unfortunately was paired against like Sunny Boy's best episode, or like Realist's best episode.
So, something that'd be interesting to look at is like, where's the lowest placement for all these shows, these 3 shows? Like, what was the lowest any of them have been on any of our lists?
I think I think I was
like
the lowest
5?
ever placement of Realist, which was a 7.
I can figure that out for you.
Really?
I give Realist a 7 week 1.
I will look into.
Oh yeah, week 1.
I will look into this as we.
And then it was a 5 week 2, and then it never dropped below 4.
I will look into this as we fumble through this.
Oh man,
Realist for me also never went above 3.
That's not right. Don't mind that.
Yeah, last point before we move on to Sunny Boy is Realist is good. It's a really enjoyable read as well. I'll say that much. And I think the in terms of following light novel, which is always a big like point of concession, I think they did a fantastic job. Like it feels almost like page for page sometimes with what they're doing, and like the flow of events is very equal. The only like out of place thing is actually Aurora, and how they actually put her in the show way earlier than when we ever hear about her. Because the first time I ever read about her was in that same scene when they showed Gaius kicking Colbert in the face in that arc. In that same chapter of Amadonia, that's when they introduce Aurora and call her by name. Because obviously, like, this random merchant aside really enjoyed this like they're not going to slip that into light novel. It wouldn't make sense. Yeah. Also, side note, this wasn't actually this was like a web story that got adopted from Pixiv onto a light novel publishing by publishing company, which then got adapted into an anime, and now it's 2 seasons, which is cool.
That's Pog.
But oh man, hang on. Sorry, I have like a 3-page thesis on this show. So
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, sure.
I remembered it because I saw the picture, and Sean's gonna know that I made this joke when we were watching it. And I was like, Sunny Boy is the only show where a character can say the words "Rajdani became a forest," and we don't question it.
No,
we just go, yeah. He did. Good for
like,
him.
You know
He's
what?
living
Good
his
for
best
him.
life right now.
I'm glad he became a forest. A forest?
It's
oh
such
man,
a good fucking line. It's just like in a role of
what's the craziest thing about that?
Where are they now? Kind of thing.
The craziest thing is that line is the least surprising part of that entire episode. And like it's the least like I need to pause and think about the entire 2 episodes we watched, because it's just like, oh yeah, cool.
You understand
He's living his best life.
You understand that line on a spiritual level. You're like, yeah, that checks, baby. He would.
After 2,000 years, I might want to become a forest too.
He's not a fucking tree, baby. He's a forest. He owns that shit.
He is the trees. He's all of that bitch.
Michael and I joked about. We're like, yeah, you see how friendly he was getting with that fucking parrot? Of course he's a forest, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So unpacking Sunny Boy. Here we go. So in episode 11, we have this really cool start where you see Nagara and Mizuho and the cats and stuff, and they're on a beach and they're building something. They're building some kind of thing. They got these like white stripes they're drawing, and they're cutting up this tarp, and they're putting up a nice little tent, and then it cuts to a picture of Nozomi, because it's a fucking funeral. And they're actually having like a wake. They invite everybody. No one comes. Besides Raj eventually shows up. And so like it like has this like very nice background track and this very beautiful visuals as they're doing this, and then cuts to like the picture and it's like, oh fuck, she's actually gone, ain't she? Which episode 10 we left with her, falling into the void or like dying somehow, and leaving behind the compass. And so nobody's there besides Mizuho and Nagara. They have this nice meal and everything. And then we finally have Rajdani coming back from his trek. And Raj decides to come back because Mizuho and Nagara are finally going to go home. They decided they want to leave this world and return to the other this world, real world, parallel to the original timeline. For Raj, he's been gone for around 2,000 years, they state. And we see cuts here and there where Tsubasa sends Nagara a letter, basically saying what happened to Mizuho and the story about how they went to the world's war and created death, and Nozomi ended up passing. We talk about how the school's almost fully sunk into the ocean at this point. Raj telling a story. He has two big stories in this episode that he tells. The first is with Mizuho, where he describes this couple that, from what I gather from it, the guy is basically stuck in the past. He's reminiscing. He's thinking about how great things were and things like that. Whereas the girl, his girlfriend, is looking towards his future, right? And looking towards what can be done to change the future, essentially, and like looking ahead. He kind of discusses how like everything in the past is going to have this nostalgia and these rose tinted glasses where it's not all it's cracked up to be when you look at it in the moment. And how, he eventually sees this girl who's described as, the most beautiful woman. She's fantastic. There's all this beautiful artwork done of her. And he sees her, he's like, yeah, I mean, she's not as pretty as I thought she'd be. Right. That's one of his big points. And it's a funny point, but it's an important point to note about how these characters change and everything. And then we have another message that after this story that Asakaze sent to Nagara with the compass saying, it's all your fault. Similar postcard. Then we have Raj telling Nagara's story. This is the story of an individual who was obsessed with death in this stasis world, this world of fasting, where people didn't require to eat as much. They focused on fasting. That was the whole culture. They didn't eat meat. They rarely ate plants and vegetables. And this led to the world becoming highly advanced civilization. However, this one individual used this to fuel his obsession with death. Raj even labeled this guy as the devil himself, basically, against God. What's up, Mason?
So one thing I did notice about that I didn't mention when we were watching, they eventually show this guy, and it looks very much like Hoshi, the kid who talks to God.
I didn't catch it, but could have been. The show does a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But essentially, this guy who's obsessed with death, the devil himself, starts foregoing the rules of the world. He eats meat. He ostracizes everyone else in the world. He starts experimenting with death and suicide to the point of even creating a device that is able to actually kill people and invents death effectively. And it's basically just an electric chair. And he was revolting enough to Raj to make Raj say even he had thoughts about killing this man, but was still fascinated by his creation of death and his idealism. And makes a comment about how as you live longer, these experiences end up becoming lesser and become more empty because those experiences are such a microcosm of the rest of your life that they don't mean nearly as much as if your lifespan is shorter. Which is also the reason why people say time passes faster as you get older. But that's a whole nother discussion of psychology that I'm not going to get into with my 4-year bachelor degree. But essentially, ultimately, you feel empty and you begin to accept death as a concept and as a reality, and even as a goal sometimes. He talks to Nagara about how Nozomi's never coming back, right? And he has to accept that. But her will's always going to survive in that compass. And, they talk about how if they do end up going back, they might no longer be who they are. They might not remember any of the island. On the fact that 2 years have passed, so they're going to be 2 years in the future. They'll be in their second year of high school now. And I just write in here, Nozomi, sad face, I miss you too. And then we cut to a scene sometime in the past before Nozomi went off with Asakaze, where she discusses with Nagara that no matter what happens with Project Robinson, they need to be friends when they go back, no matter what happens. And that's an important point because we'll get to that in episode 12 where it doesn't happen. And so Nagara, Mizuho, and Raj, and at the time, Nozomi was a part of this plan as well, but eventually obviously died. They create this rocket similar to like the moon mission, the first ever one. And the answer to get back, they say, requires resolve and sacrifice. And so it's just Nagara and Nozomi on the rocket. The cats can't return because they can't survive in that world because there's another existence. And they can't have sentient cats. That wouldn't make sense. And so in the end, it's just these two. And so they head off to space and use a magnet to connect to this like gondola that basically speeds up to the speed of light. And this is where we cut into episode 12. And we realize in the ending, it's telling the entire story of the show. Boy meets girl, 2,000 years, all that stuff is in the fucking lyrics at the ending, and it pissed me and Mason off. But
I
so
knew this from
episode
the
12,
beginning.
episode 12, it cuts into a time skip, obviously, because we're 2 years in the future now, and we're at the entrance ceremony to the second year of high school, where Nagaro is alone again. You know, he has a job and he works on his own. He doesn't have a family anymore because his parents passed away, and he lives in this small apartment by himself. It's a much nicer looking apartment than the last time we saw it 2 years ago, and he seems to have moved on. We see in the school, we see Inu-kun's girl from that one island is there, who was in the like the crystallized disease island.
Also, the fact that she had a bracelet that looked very much like the
The one,
disease.
yeah, and I call her Project Sunshine. And so we find out that Nagra does remember, but everyone around him doesn't, or do they? And so we find that Mizuho goes to a different school than Nagra, and so he really is truly on his own. His boss is an asshole. I write that in there. And then we see Nozomi near his apartment at the same train station. However, she ends up being with Asakaze in this timeline. So not only is she alive, she's also with the guy who was trying so hard to get her attention. And so I said at that point, I hate this world. Where's the fuck go back button? And Nagara seemed to think the same thing. Because it seems like everyone but Nagara and Mizuho even are kind of living these lives that like is what should have been or what wanted. And that this re-rolling of the dice, well, we'll get there. I'll get there. I'm just gonna go by my notes because I'm gonna get off track. And the only thing that Nagara really has left is this compass, right? It's that compass we saw from Nozomi. There was 2 of them apparently because Asakaze had one as well. But it's just this compass. And so we cut then finally to the gondola traveling and then running through like this space-time dimension to get to the world basically. Where they encounter Asakaze, who tells them about what's happened in the island since they've left. Rajdani becoming a forest. Everyone, including Miss Aki, has left Asakaze. Now he is alone. Even the island itself, Hateno Island, that they were stuck on all that time, eventually sunk into the sea with the school. And he truly feels alone now and regrets some of his actions, but he doesn't go with them. Or did he? We don't know. We don't really know. But all that remained is this: they keep running and they're running and they're holding hands and it's adorable and they're running towards this future that they think they want. And the visuals here, by the way, are actually crazy. You have like this like rotating like conal background that keeps shifting and it shows scenes from across the various episodes and the different parts of the show, and then eventually hits this blue kind of like soft colored area with like doves and everything, and they reach a point where it feels like they've gotten to the end of this rope, right? And they eventually kind of meet up in the real world and they talk about what happened. Yeah, Mizuho hasn't forgotten either. Nagra hasn't forgotten, but they're much more distant now, it seems like. After a scene where like Mizuho basically pretends like she doesn't know him for a second, for some reason or other. But what's up, Mason?
Uh, also, when they're running towards getting back, there's a point where it cuts and it's looking like they're on the edge between the real world and this world, and the principal's there, and the only thing he says is, "You must not leave this place," and they just continue running, and then it just cuts again.
Well, Nagara says something in that scene because he doesn't.
He
Say
does.
doesn't he say like he says, "But you're not saying I can't."
Yes,
Because that was what he said last time. He was like, "You can't leave," whereas this time
Yeah.
he's saying you shouldn't. Like it don't. And Nagara's
Yeah.
like, "Well, that means I can. So fuck you."
Principal's like,
Yeah.
please don't. And he's like, what? And so eventually they end up gathering in the rain. And I love this rain setting that's going on throughout these 2 episodes because A, typhoon season does exist. And B, it really sets the tone of like being this like more negative view of it, where it's like they have this conversation where it's like, yeah, in the future everyone's happy, including Nozomi, but these 2 are kind of left with what they had, right? It seemed like they didn't change their future, but they re-rolled everybody else's around them to a degree. Where, you know, we cut to a shot of the story of Mizuho since coming back, where her grandmother's passed away, and the cats, you know, have left elsewhere. One of them passed away. They were left with like a home, basically a very expensive cat daycare or something. Kind of what I assumed. Um, and so they threw away like this other dimension for this hopes of a future to make everyone else happy to a degree. And when these two are talking, they sit down at like this park bench and realize, yeah, we might not been able to change the world, but at least this is what we chose, right? And we were able to make a decision on this to go back to our this world, even though it actually did change, which is a weird thing. But um, and then we have a bit of Nozomi's perspective at the end too, where it's like she's now kind of been given life by the changing in this world. And we don't know if she really remembers it or not. It's not really clear. It seems like she has some kind of like
I don't think she remembers it.
recollection, but I don't think she does either. And then we kind of close on this scene at the train station where Nagara runs into Nozomi again, and he gets a stool out because there's this bird nest with these birdlings in it. And Nozomi's there holding a box where there's only one chick remaining, and it's a young, sickly bird. And she asks Nagara, "Will you take care of this bird?" And just like in the beginning of the show, he chooses not to. And he turns away and says, "I can't." And once again walks away from this bird. And seeing her and Asakaze together, Nagara thinks about trying to reconnect after they have this conversation where they discuss where, oh, I remember you from, middle school. Yeah, you were the transfer student and stuff. And just when it seems like they're about to reconnect, Asakaze shows up, which makes Nagara kind of rethink and go, since she's happy, I don't think she needs me as her friend, and decides to go away and break the promise they made. And that's where the show just kind of cuts to the credits. And for me, and the last point I make, that is the most frustrating part of this entire show, because it feels like through all the growth we had, through all the journey we took, in the end, they weren't able to. Nagara wasn't able to change anything about himself or about the world around him, as how he views it, and that's like a very sad like ending to me. Like I feel like that was very like I was very not necessarily let down, but like just disappointed for Nagara more than anything, because it felt like he had all
Yeah.
this growth and all this momentum, and then in the end just fell back into the same old, same old. And sure, he has Mizuho, we presume, in some aspects, but they don't seem as close. They're very distant. They're all, both dealing with their own stuff now, and it seems like this passing of time has really like caused them to drift apart. And I'm really sad about that. That like we didn't get the happy ending that you were hoping for. We didn't get like a sound conclusion. We got kind of this open, like very uneasy feeling that I feel like has been with me this entire show the way throughout. So yeah, who wants to talk about that? It was a great 2 episodes, right, guys?
So it's very unfortunate because Sunny Boy had this that became kind of a recurring thing where Sunny Boy had an amazing episode. Like episode 6 of Sunny Boy was fan fucking tastic. It was one of the best episodes of anime this year. And then we get to episode 7 and it's like, okay, that was an episode. And then they did the same thing again with episode 11 and 12, where episode 11 was really fucking good. And then episode 12 just goes, yeah, that's the series.
That's
And it's
it.
just very unfortunate because it took all of the growth that we got from pretty much every character and then just said, yeah, no, that didn't matter. Fuck you.
I don't.
And like I get it because the show very much was it was a lesson in depression, I guess, and like it was a lesson in the depression and anxieties of middle and high school students, which is fine. But also, like, when you give them the growth that throughout the series that they desperately need, make them stick with it. Don't just throw it all away because, haha, we achieved the goal, now we can go back to normal. It just felt very like, well, fuck, we don't know how to end this show.
I don't
Oh,
feel.
There's one really good scene I forgot to mention at the end of like where Mizuho and Nagara are partying, and then I'll let you guys talk, I swear.
Mhm.
Where Mizuho turns back because Nagara doesn't leave right away and just says, as long as there's still some of you in there that was on that island, you'll be okay. Right?
Mhm.
And reassures him. And I think that is like the one redeeming part of episode 12 that makes me go, maybe there is hope for these characters.
I think
right?
that's the most
Like,
important line of episode
I think that's the
12.
most important part because it leaves you with left me at least with the sense of like I was really frustrated to this point, but like maybe everything will be okay, right?
yeah.
And it just takes time. And while the show doesn't have time to explain that, I think like it's one of the few shows where like leaving things open isn't necessarily the worst thing for me.
No, I agree.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I almost forgot about that scene, and then I thought about it right now.
Don't
I'm
worry,
like,
I was gonna
now
bring
I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that is actually like
I was gonna bring it up.
probably the whole point of this episode. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
I
it's
would
probably
say
the whole
yes.
point of the fucking thing.
I don't
Um,
feel as negatively as you two do on Nagara's end behavior, no, nor the way the show innately closes out, because I think the show's done something very important, which is shown that the character's growth has been gradual and progressive over a very long period of time that gets trimmed down by how many episodes we have it feel shorter. That I don't think it's reasonable to expect Nagara to act in a way where when confronted with an outcome that he's not comfortable with, he's still going to take an extra step. I think the important aspects of those scenes are he recognizes Nozomi. That he gives the effort to see if she remembers, to see if this is the
She's
outcome
okay.
he's wanted, that where she's back and she knows something about the previous world. And that's an important part of his conversation with Mizuho too, is like, well, it doesn't seem like she remembers, but she's alive, right? So this is an outcome we got. Like, it's also an outcome we chose. So like we're here for that reason. And then the fact that if it wasn't for Nozomi showing up again, I think he would have took that bird, even though he says he can't, right? It's just that he
Yeah.
backs down when she's there because he probably knows she's gonna care for it better than he would. But like
Fair.
the whole part of the end of the show is, you know, Nagar was a person who didn't have his life together for a bunch of different reasons, none that are probably innately his fault. And instead he's working. He hates his job, but he's working. He's doing okay. He talks with people. He has Mizuho as a connection if he needs it, and he's living in probably a better situation than he was based on the setting we see him in his housing. It's hard to say. We don't necessarily get closure or any real information about his mom to like solidify that. But I feel like the show leaves off on a point where you're like, you know what? Nagara is in a position where if as long as he keeps in mind what Mizuho says, he's gonna be all right. And I feel like that's the important part. And same thing with Mizuho. One of the lines she says in episode 11 when they're in the shuttle is like I have to let go of my cats, right? Like that's a part of this is leaving them
Yeah.
behind. So her being in this, one of her major conflicts being well, maybe I'll go and get a job and go get my cats. That's an option. Like I'll go get the rest of them. But she isn't going to do it. Like she is a different person. She is by far the character I'm most conflicted on because the episode 11 makes me feel like she is a lot stronger of a connection to Raj than the whole rest of the show led me to like notice in terms of her interactions with him. And it makes me feel like there was a lot that could have been done there and a lot about her having to leave Raj behind that probably meant more to her than we got to see. And that's probably my bigger gripe with this show is that out of all the shows we watched, this one by far has the most loose threads left hanging. I know nothing about Miss Aki. I know nothing about what God was intending. Besides
don't
open
know.
interpretations.
God was
We-
just playing around. That's as far as we know, and that's
We
like
don't.
the scariest part about the show.
So we don't know what Misaki was or where she was from or why she was there. Really, we don't know what
We know
happened to her.
Misaki was just one of the other. It was in
A
that
student.
class, just
Yeah.
in a different year.
Yeah. Well, okay, but
We
that,
And the
presume
idea is
that.
that a bunch of students end up in the continued timeline, end up having
Yeah.
her, and she
Well-
learns this through interacting with people and abuses that power to become important
so
because people trust her because she's an adult.
I think that's a fair
people who don't
interpretation.
understand.
I don't know if
I mean,
the show
yes.
solidifies that to be the
Well, yeah.
interpretation.
That's the idea. Is that there is no.
Yeah.
The show doesn't need to tell
There's
you
no
because
answers.
there are 1,000 answers that work for that can explain exactly why Misaki is there, what she's doing, and how she came to the power she has. So a lot of things the show just goes, yeah, there's a bunch of ways this could have gone. They all make sense if you can connect them correctly.
But at some point I feel like leaving so many of those is a problem.
Hurts the show.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I understand and I think leaving things open for interpretation is wonderful. And like we can talk and spend 7 hours, 8 hours after this
Dissecting
podcast
this shit.
dissecting this show and coming to conclusions and threads that will make us feel really good about this show. And there's a question of does this show deserve that? And I do think it does, because I think this show is very beautiful. It's probably the most beautiful and artistic show that we've maybe arguably have ever had on this podcast.
Since I've
Um,
been here, yeah.
but I think definitely since Dodge has been here, I think Michael, since you and I've been doing this, I think there's an argument that there's been some other things that have maybe come close to it. I think Aizukens are very close in terms of artistic
Okay,
feel.
that's understandable
Like I
because
think
Izuku does
Aizuken makes a really
Izuku
good
does a lot
argument.
of funny things.
Can we say this is the most Gigantamax brain shit we had
Yeah.
to process though?
Yes.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
Almost, I
The
can't
only
think of-
thing that comes even close is
is
Pet.
Pet, and I don't think Pet's on this level. I don't think Pet earns the right to do what it does comparatively to this show. And that's why this show is very difficult for me, is because I think visually and artistically it's very compelling, and I think its themes are great. And I, more than I think the rest of this, maybe Michael's the only other person who might agree with me on this, was I didn't necessarily lose interest at the end. I actually gained more of it as we kept going. The more complex I had to dig, the more I enjoyed it.
I think
agree.
the more we
I
talk
did-
about it, like the more I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
you-
this actually is like
You were a
just
lot
outs-
lower on a show until we talk
it's
about
actually
it every
just
week.
so like it's hard to comprehend like how to feel about this show.
Mm-hmm.
Is just how I put it. Like it's very hard to like understand my own thoughts about this show because like even now, like as we talk about, I'm just like, but like that thing meant that thing meant that thing. But what if that thing meant that thing meant that thing? But actually, what if that thing like
Yeah.
that kind of thought process where it's just you spiral into a point of like, I don't really know what the answer is, but I'll be damned if I'm not okay with that sometimes in some of
Yeah.
the show. But Mace, I'll let you go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say some of the other things that actually like we've never got like an actual answer on.
Clarity.
For one, what Mizuho's power actually was.
That was a big one for me.
We never actually heard what it was or had any inkling as to what it meant. Also, we don't really understand the actual reason as to why their original reason, like their original trying to get back, didn't work. Because of the fact that we don't know what Mizo's power was. Also, we don't know why they went there in the first place. Like, we don't know what actually like caused them to go.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
think
the
we have
idea for
some
the
answers.
cause was that the cats, mainly Sakura, understood Mizuho was lonely. And by putting a copy of her in a world with other people, she could make friends with them, giving her friends that she didn't need to go out of her way to find because they'd be stuck with her.
So here's the
cats,
interesting.
I don't know, they're cats.
Here's the interesting
Cats
proposition.
are indeed
We
cats.
don't really get time to consider or ponder this, but if we're running off the only kind of conversation we have about Mizuho's power is that, you know, she relates to things being alive and dead, right? And we know the cats can't copy things if they are dead, right? Or if they're alive. That's the idea. So if it failed the first time, doesn't that innately mean that it's because the group's alive? If they waited a little longer, all of them would be dead and then they could be copied? Isn't that possibly the outcome? So the idea being that at a certain point in the world you become dead. Because Raj kind of talks about it, that death's an odd thing in that world. Like, death exists in terms of the physical sense once Asakaze kills War, right? But there's also an inkling that people die at a certain point in the world
When they are
well.
killed. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, exactly. You understand.
Yeah.
So like if there's an argument then that the people have to die before they can be copied. Or is it, or am I wrong, and it's the other way around? They can't copy things that are dead because
So
They can copy living things and inanimate things was how it worked.
Yeah, they could copy anything.
They could do
the
both.
stuff with the
Right.
living and dead was whether copies or other things in the world would got the whole idea where they couldn't actually die in the world. That's the
Right.
chicken experiment.
So
one
Yeah.
thing too that we kind of like, it's very weirdly explained, and it kind of gets rushed over a little bit, but Raj even says that when the one guy who was trying to invent death invented it, he came back. He came back to life. And he's trying to explain that death isn't actually the death of the physical body to him. It's the death of like being a person. Like he
Yep.
says that since he has lived so long now, he's becoming more apathetic to everything as
Mhm.
things go on. And he feels like at this point he's just going to be a husk eventually because he just won't feel enjoyment towards anything. And that's death.
Yeah. So to like unpack the stuff about Mizuho's power and why they failed to get back the first time, you really have to dig into the cat's powers and make like that's all episode 10 stuff that you have to like really sit down, dig and like converse about. And it's not stuff I really want to do right now because I'm pretty sure what I said was wrong after Michael reinforced the stuff we knew. I definitely know my line of thinking is not correct there. But see, like that's exactly the thing. Like you have to really examine and talk through this show, and that's why, while I appreciate letting me do that, sometimes it's nice to have that little like, hey,
Here's the
we'll
answer.
we'll put you in close to the right direction to your answer a little
Yeah.
more. Like you can be a little more like, here's another little thing about this, and maybe we do have it, and we just didn't notice it in these last two episodes.
Yeah, who knows?
Here's my end of university thesis paper. It'll be on Sunny Boy. I'll have enough pages to be fine.
True.
This is gonna be
Honestly,
like,
you're not
I'm,
wrong.
I'm waiting for this to be the next show, like Evangelion, where people go on about the like metaphysical impact it
Yo,
has.
bro,
and
I
whatever.
can't wait for it to get 3 movies.
Right.
The
Mm.
show would be actually
And for
fucking.
people to tell you that you can watch those movies first.
Don't watch the movies for Evangelion, please.
I-
Stuff
I-
happens in there that I don't think is legal.
I want to bring this conversation to a different point.
Yes.
I mean, 'cause back
Please
a little
do.
bit. You guys were talking shit on this ending, and I think the ending
liked
is real
it.
neat.
I said I liked it.
You guys ignored like his
So-
entire final line, which our lives are only beginning. What lies ahead will just take a little bit longer.
No.
He sees Nozomi happy and goes,
I did
"This
say the more
isn't
we
my
talked about
time
it,
to come in."
the more
So,
we talked
He
about it,
knows
the
he
more I
has
was like
to
okay
wait
with
because
it.
he understands through his thing that time can wait. He has a full life to live. He doesn't
So-
need to do it right now.
I don't appreciate you attacking me on this.
I
I'm
I don't
not
know. You
trying-
guys are both talking shit about this show.
Okay,
and I didn't-
no, hold up, Michael. Just because I'm criticizing a show doesn't mean I'm talking shit about it. I can criticize a show for not telling us, like, for leaving too many things open to interpretation, while still thinking it's a good show. Like, I rated this show an 8 because
Yeah,
I would
That's
absolutely
exactly where
re-
I put it. That's exactly how
Because-
I feel
because
about it.
it is a show that I will recommend to people and say, hey, caveat, you're going to think a lot. And also, I am more than down to rewatch this show and see the things that I missed. I just also have problems with it.
I explained I like to explain my reasonings between like how you get from a 7 to a 10 on like my rating scale.
It's
And it's 'cause
yeah.
it's complicated. I think it's different for every person, but mine really is the difference between 7 and 8 is does it do something that really elevates it?
Unique.
That's how you get into an 8 for me. And then from 8 to 9, like 8 and 9 is a lot harder to decipher, but it's really a matter of how much problems or many problems do I have with the show and how strongly do I feel about it. And then 10s are the ones that like really push the envelope or really make me feel something that is beyond what most other things do for me. I will say I don't think any of these shows are 10s for me. I did not. None
No.
of them hit that level for me personally. Some stats, some facts. I've drafted the numbers up, my friends. For reference sake,
Give me the numbers.
I-
Give me the numbers, Mason.
Sunny Boy
Sorry.
Sunny Boy never reached the number 1 slot for me in a week. I never had it at 1. Which is
I
not
did.
surprising because I was very down on this show in the beginning, and arguably it probably had the better chances of being up there in that time slot for me. Michael had this show in his number 1 slot 6 times.
Woo!
Dodge
How
had
many
it,
weeks? Like 10?
it's 9. It's out of 9.
Damn,
WG.
Michael.
And that's just the
I
same
mean,
amount I had
that-
Vanitas
that's-
for.
Again, you guys also are missing the part where of the 8 weeks remake was there. It was number 2 for 7 of them.
Yeah.
Fair.
And the one time it didn't was when I had Sunny Boy drop to a 3 to have remake pop up to 1 for you guys to vote it off.
For reference, Dodge and Mason both had Sunny Boy in the number 1 slot 3 times. I have percentages for how many times out of possible times shows got into their number 1 slot, and we could talk about that
Oh boy.
later.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that at the end. In terms of the lowest position shows got throughout our weekly ratings, Vanitas only dropped the Vanitas and Sunny. Vanitas dropped its lowest at rank 4, and it was Michael who had it at that slot. Dodge, me, and Mason, all the lowest Vanitas ever dropped was 3. It was never out of our top 3.
Yeah.
Realist, Michael is correct. He dropped Realist the lowest to a 7 the first week. Outside of that, Mason, you would be next at 5, and it never dropped below 4 for Dodge and I. As for Sunny Boy, it was the lowest for me at 5, which was very early in the show. And then for Michael, it was never below a 3, and it was never below a 4 for Mason and Dodge. So overall, like, outside of, like, arguably outliers for the first week, these shows never drop below at least 4 in most cases. With a couple of exceptions, which I think is interesting to look at. It's why having the power rankings is kind of cool, because we can gain some insight about that.
I'm glad I introduced that to you guys. It's like a last second idea last season,
do
and
like
then
it
like
a
we're
lot.
like, wait, this is actually kind of sick. But like, yeah, Sunny Boy's just like, the more we talk about it, like, and you mentioned like us getting down, like, and at the start, like when I came into this podcast, I'm like, yeah, I really didn't feel like great about Sunny Boy's last episode. We'll just play it. But the more we talk about it, and the more we like kind of digest it and like pick apart it piece by piece, the more I start to go and like connect the own dots, right? And like, even if I'm not connecting all of them, sometimes it feels good to just to be like, it almost feels better to not have the closure at this point, which is the thing I didn't think I'd say at the start of this. Like, I thought for sure I like want like a definitive like answer to some of the stuff in this show, but like the more we talk about this show, the more fitting it feels for it to not do that.
So I think for me, I went in thinking that its last episode was entirely depressing. To after talking about it, I think it is hopefully melancholy. Is the best way I can put it.
It's optimistically depressing.
I assume the idea, another thing is that the way the show ends with them going at the speed of light is that it makes me think of a JoJo thing, and it's the end of fucking part 6, and that they're just going through a bunch of worlds
Okay.
until they can find one that they can slip into.
I thought about that and then forgot about that.
Yeah,
in the time-
they're
yeah.
moving in the way Made in Heaven
I
works.
think you made a comment
Yeah.
about that while we were watching it.
Yeah, so like, are we gonna get into the end of
I don't
part
think we
6
need to
for a
get into it
second?
right now. I think we've talked enough about Sunny Boy. That's more than half of the fucking time we talked in this
I mean, yeah,
episode.
and that's always been the case with this show, right?
That's Sunny
we
To
Boy.
be fair,
a
I
lot
spent like a
about this
30-minute
show.
lectern on what the fuck happened first because
True.
you have to like open up on
Yeah.
a 30-minute lecture on what the fuck happened for the show half the time.
Yeah,
Oh man.
we
So-
had double the amount. So
I will share this right now. And let me actually check total how this works, how this checks out. Let's see. Yeah, so of these 3 shows in total, they comprise the number 1 slot on our power rankings 88% of the time.
Yeah.
Breaking that down more, Vanitas was in the number 1 slot 47%. Sunny Boy was 33, and Realist was only 8.
A couple times here.
Comparatively. And then if we want to go to the big reveal, I can go to the big reveal. I have
I think
the
it's about
numbers.
time, yeah.
I think it's about time. Yeah,
This, I will say, lines up very well. Realist, well, we'll go down the line. Vanitas has in total, if you don't know how we do this, we rate the shows first, second, and third. A show that is first place gets 3 points. A show that is second gets 2, and the show that is third gets 1. We add up all those points at the end to see the total. Because there are 4 of us, and there are 3 shows, the max amount of points that will be distributed is 24. Which means technically there is always a chance, if it's 4 of us, for a 3-way tie. There is also always a chance for a tie, depending on how certain things work out. Vanitas has 11 points.
Yeah, I called that one 3 weeks ago. I'm pretty
Realist
sure.
has 5, and Sunny Boy has 8, which means that the ranking places is Vanitas, Sunny Boy, Realist. Which I don't inherently think is too much of a surprise on this end. It's about how I would rate them in that order on my power. I feel pretty comfortable.
I rated them.
Michael, you're the one who has Sunny Boy
Boy 1.
at 1. I know you really like Sunny Boy.
Yeah, I'm the one who gave Sunny Boy a 10
Yeah,
because I fucking love the
I
show.
know you really
This
like
is
it.
the only show of the season I have, at this point, recommended to people. I put this in where I went, guy. This was after like episode 5. I'm like, watch Sunny Boy.
Guys,
This
this
show
is
is
something
fucking
special.
beautiful.
I have,
This show hit different.
I've
It does.
recommended Sunny Boy and Vanitas.
I could
to
recommend
people.
this whole top 3 to people. I wouldn't feel bad doing it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very different people, and Sunny Boy is by far the hardest for me to figure out who should get that recommendation because they have to really be someone who is going to want to engage with this show.
I might recommend this to my friend at work. She might like this.
It's
I
very
recommended this to my cousins who also watch anime, and the main selling point that I got them on was, hey, sound design good and
Yeah.
watercolor backgrounds.
I mean, I know the
all the
three.
time.
I know the 3 people who are probably the only 3 people I can recommend this to in our friend group, because they're ironically the ones I have the Ava conversations with, and who I was watching Ava with.
I had forgotten one of them, and then you saying Ava immediately sparked it back
Yeah.
into my head. I had forgotten about Teddy.
Yeah, it's our friends Teddy, Fen, and Darren. Who?
And I mean, we did sell DJ on the show for him to eventually watch it by going,
but
DJ, it's by Madhouse.
but yeah, that's all we
DJ
had. That's all we had to do to sell
Madhouse,
him.
Madhouse
And he went,
Machine.
fuck.
Madhouse Machine went fucking burr in this show. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, who put Realist second?
That was you, Mason.
Me.
I thought
Yeah.
about it, but then I was like, Sunny Boy good.
So it's weird. So I rated Realist lower on AniList, but I put it higher on my power ranking simply because of the fact of how I do my power rankings.
Hmm.
I think overall, I will recommend both these shows about the same amount, but Sunny Boy just a little bit more. But because of how I was feeling at the beginning of the podcast, I rated Realist a little bit higher. Now I would maybe switch that up a little bit, but
I think you and and I don't want to say Dodge doesn't feel this way, but I don't know if it's as strong. I think you and I definitely there's probably a big gap between Vanitas and our second show.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Vanitas was
The,
very
the more I talk about this show, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Vanitas very much so was just consistently my favorite show every single week. I was always looking forward to Vanitas, whereas Realist, I was like, yeah, no, I'm excited to watch that, but like, it's just like, hey, I want to watch anime with people, and like, also this is my show. And then Sunny Boy, it was half and half. Man, I'm excited to watch Sunny Boy, and oh god, I have to watch Sunny Boy and hurt my brain for 40 minutes every single week.
I will say I think the big critique of Vanitas that I think is very fair is the stuff is the actual vampire stuff, which is really hard to be like, yeah, the vampire show, the stuff where they do vampire blood sucking is really rough sometimes. But for me, I explained it to Michael, and I understand why he doesn't necessarily agree with the way I think of this. But even retrospectively, the beginning scene with John in my brain gets less bad the longer the show goes. The more like I engage with these characters and become comfortable with them, the more I'm like, the more the stuff it's done doesn't bother me. I still think it's bad in the moment. I think if you get to episode 3 and you don't see a problem with the scene with Vanitas and Joan, that's probably a problem. But I think I think by the time you get to the end of the season, you can be like, no, the show is justified in how it did it, and like you can not like it, but still accept the way it handles those scenes. That's probably its
I
biggest
understand that.
critique for me.
Vanitas might be fucked up, but man, does he have reasons for it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's other things you want to innately discuss.
No, Mason.
I'll do a thing real quick while we talk.
Quick question, Mason. How much of my like talking about Realist Hero made you change that opinion too? I'm just curious.
It was a little bit, but
Does it change a little bit knowing some of the stuff that like gets resolved?
a little bit. It was honestly, I knew Vanitas was going to be my number one no matter what.
Yeah, I was pretty much on that board too. Unless anybody did something fucking off the
Yeah,
wall,
exactly.
which it did, but
Not in the way I was wanting to. And then it was kind of just a toss up between which show I was going to enjoy the ending of more, which was like Realist or Sunny Boy. And Realist, while you telling me those things did slightly help it. I also didn't really factor it in because I
I
also
hope
went
so.
well, I didn't see that happen. I got it from a secondhand source. So I'm not gonna factor that in.
I will
Yeah, no.
say. Oh, go ahead, Michael.
I mean, I will say, I remember I said a thing kind of in an back when you guys voted off remake when I went, yeah, I have my top three already decided in order, and that I had it top decided by that point. It was this. At that point, I had already decided I was putting Sunny Boy above, unless Vanitas had the greatest 3 episodes of anime of all time, and Sunny Boy shat the bed its last 3 episodes. And they didn't do that.
I will say I walked into these last couple episodes desperately needing to see what Sunny Boy and Realist was going to do, because like I was, after we'd watched Villainous, I was really like, oh man, maybe I don't like Realist as much as I think I do. I was like, maybe it isn't really pushing the envelope too much on the genre or anything it's doing. I just like what it's doing because it's doing it well. And when I watched the last couple episodes of Realist, I was like, yo, this is good. I enjoy it. And then I watched Sunny Boys. I'm like, there is a difference here. Whether or not like I have problems with Sunny Boy more than I do Realist, it's the fact that Sunny Boy's potential and its highs were so much more to me than Realist were, that even if Realist even if Sunny Boy had problems, the problems still don't pull the show down far enough for me to be like, yeah, it's on the same level as Realist, or that Realist is better than it. I myself couldn't bring myself to do that. And I will say the last 2 episodes of Sunny Boy played a major role in that decision. So I did need this extra week, but this is about how I thought I would feel around the time Remake went. Because I was still kind of in the feeling of, if we kept if we kept Remake an extra week over Life Lessons, I don't know, maybe it could have put up a defense against Sunny Boy or Realist, but I don't think in the end it could have. I think I would have. I think especially after watching episode 11, I would have been very frustrated with that show for the beginning half of it, and it wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah.
I agree.
I will say, based on the extra shows I've watched from the other side of the podcast, I think both Duke of Death and Moonlit have the potential to nudge out. If they were on our season, I think they both could have potentially nudged out Realist, but I think it would have been very hard, because I think Realist had a very compelling week by week, that without looking at it in a very broad scope, maybe could have knocked out those 2 shows early. But I think in their conclusions, I think they're both better shows than Realist is. Which I'm pretty confident in that saying. I think as an isekai, with what it does, I think Moonlit just it just pushes the envelope a little more. It has some really compelling moments, and I really like its cast. And it's a smaller cast, so you feel more with them.
Invested.
Yeah. I explain Moonlit kind of like something that that Tyra's Incarnate as a Slime does really well, which is Moonlit bounces from goofy, like nice and relaxed setting to very super serious, like you need to realize shit's going down on like the turn of a dime, and it does it really well. It feels like it's earned it. And Duke of Death is literally it's probably the most wholesome thing I've watched in a long time for me. You have to be comfortable with the fact that the characters make very sexual jokes with each other, and that like that isn't gonna change, and that's like a gag they have, is that like they flirt really hard, but as soon as you're comfortable with that, it's wonderful. I don't think there's a moment. DJ walked out when there was a piano scene. He's like, Sean, I understand why you love this show. It's very wholesome. And I went, you haven't even seen the parts where it hurts you.
You haven't been hurt yet. I have.
The funny you saying that made me think about the 2 shows I was watching today, and how, I mean, I haven't finished them yet.
Yeah. No, I
but
haven't
I personally would have put Aquatope over Realist with what I currently have on Aquatope. If that show has stabbed me too many times already by giving characters backstories and me going, fuck, god damn it, you can't just add these backstory bits to characters. And Kageki Shoujo has stabbed me 3 to 4 times already.
I'm also
I would
so
agree.
fucking good.
I would agree if I wasn't falling asleep after.
That was my issue. Is I can understand that Aquatope is probably going to be a better show than Realist once it's finished. The issue I had with it was the fact that it is not enjoyable to watch week by week.
Yeah.
It is slow.
So painfully slow.
Such as the PA Works
which
thing.
is
And
which is fine
that
because it's
shows that
PA
aren't
Works and
apart,
it's 24.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's like I fully understand that, and I admit that I will like if I
Yeah.
end up going.
No,
and
I
watching it again,
understand. Yeah.
yeah, like it wasn't anything when I voted it off where I was trying to like shit on the show or anything. It was just legitimately, it is unfortunately way too slow for a week by week
And-
podcast.
And honestly, in all honesty, Michael, all the anger about that show going off when it did should be directed to me because I probably had the least reason to slay it that week. If we're being real about it, but I agree.
You're like, I'm just gonna slay
Yeah.
If you're being a realist about it,
Yeah, I'll be real with you though, Michael. I do agree. I haven't finished it yet, but if Kageki Shoujo keeps up the pace it has been for the 8 episodes I watched on it, it's also going to be a very highly ranked show this season. As someone who doesn't, and I mentioned this when I talked about it, I don't engage with idol performance shows a lot, right? So it's very possible that someone who's more interested in that genre looks at this show and goes, it's not really doing anything new or engaging. It's possible people look at it that way. To me, it's really great. And it's probably the thing that, along with me seeing idol openings and EDs and going, man, this cast looks cute and like they'd be fun to watch do stuff, is a reason why I might start getting into the genre. Is because I think Kageki Shoujo is a really good starting place. Because it's good. I like it a lot.
low key, Love Live actually pretty fire.
So I
it's just
hear.
I want to watch the
Like-
current level,
like
the
the-
one
the
that
f-
just aired.
But honestly, the original I think is actually pretty solid.
So
Yeah,
and I
the
hate
original's
to
a
admit
really solid
it's
show.
actually just a really solid show, and it's like,
so
this is dangerous.
Yeah, and the one that just finished airing or whatever, it has a big major strength with it, like just in its base that I think causes like one of the bigger issues with the original is that the new one only has 5 characters instead of the
Ooh.
9 that the original had, which
From what
makes you
it
can
seems.
actually focus on all of them instead of having to split apart 9 characters' backstories over the
Yeah, but
entire
Monkey's
thing,
cute,
which
so it's
ends
fine.
up shoving like 1 to 2 of them into the fucking corner and just going, eh.
That's fine. One of them, Nico needs to get the fuck off the screen every time she's there. So
Nah, she's fine. She's
I
not
will-
great, but she's fine.
not my anime, dude.
I will say, Mason already has the anime king role, as he justly deserves.
Wanna know, baby?
My
Do
liege.
we want to pick shows?
I'm done to sit down.
It's
and watch
it's
shows.
October. It's October. Shows are
I got shit to
starting.
do.
Maybe October.
So-
I gotta go study tonight, so I ain't got shit to do.
So I have work at 10 a.m.
Yes.
Oh, yikes.
But we did already also watch trailers.
And I was gonna make the
so-
argument that if we aren't picking shows, you're probably gonna stay up talking to us anyway.
Yeah, true.
So like,
True.
All right, I need to put my
I al-
fucking list. Can you send the
also,
list, Sean?
if you didn't know, today, well, this is gonna pop up real quick, but it's okay. If you didn't know, today aired the first episode of former season runner up,
86.
86. It's
86.
first episode of the
Oh,
second
shit, that
season's
started
out
today.
today. I have
I
not
kinda wanna
watched
wait.
it.
I
have
kinda
not
wanna wait.
watched it.
I
I kind of want to wait for it to all be done.
I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see how I approach that. Here's the spreadsheet with the list of stuff, and it has the list to the mount.
I don't know. She's kind of hot with that red streak in her hair, though. She's kind of fucking sexy. That's all I'm
Mason,
saying.
do you want to do the honors and pull up a wheel so that we can decide picking order?
Yeah.
Put our 4
Oh,
names
boy.
on, and we'll
Oh,
do it the
man,
order.
there's
The
so
order
many good
you get selected,
options.
you pick. So
Ah!
Oh
Are we
boy.
So how are we doing this? We're doing snake draft for the first 8, and then we're re-rolling for the last 4.
is that
because-
how we want to do it?
If we snake draft all the way through, it's kind of like lame for whoever gets like last.
Yeah, we could. I mean, I guess we could do it that way. So when
Plus,
we
it means
spin,
more real spins. So like that's kind of a dub.
when we spin, yeah,
When we
the
spin, I
person,
spin with them.
the person it lands on, Mason, will be the person who picks first.
Okay.
And give me a second just to make sure.
It's on stream.
Yeah.
Fuck, that means neither me nor Dodge are gonna actually get picked on this wheel. We're not gonna get to go first.
What do you
Because
mean?
we're only allowed to miss wheel spins.
Yeah, no. Like there's no shot. Why do you think I haven't gone first in any of the seasons?
You went first
And
last.
for what
No, I
it's
didn't.
for
No,
what it's
Michael
worth,
went
Yeah,
first.
I went
yeah, no,
second.
no, Dodge went first
No,
this past
no,
Did I
year.
go
you
first
went
against
first.
Sunny Boy?
Yeah, you went first.
Yeah,
against
That's
Sunny Boy.
right, I
Because
did.
you looked at Aquatope and that was the one I wanted to pick.
And you know what? And you
I
know
got
what?
scared for a moment.
And you know what? first pick Sunny Boy. I stand by that. I think it was a pretty fucking
For-
solid
If you had
choice.
picked Aquatope, I would have picked
For
Sun
what
Boy.
it's worth,
First pick
I
Phineas.
think this might be the most important picking order we've ever had in a season. I think this is. I think the people who get first pick decides a lot because.
I think low-key me getting fourth is actually optimal this
I
draft.
also think you getting fourth is optimal.
I think me getting fourth is like the perfect spot for me. So honestly, can I defer my draft slot? Can I trade
No.
down in the draft?
So, question
Mhm.
before we forget:
Yes.
Can I trade for a future one?
is Chainsaw Man going to be on?
No.
Going to be a potential?
I have
We
not
have
seen
no confirmation,
any
as to
confirmation
when it's
of
happening
when it's
at
airing.
all.
And that's
Okay.
unfortunately if I knew when it was airing, I could give like a
But you're
a
goddamn believer
straight-
watching it with the boys when it comes
On my
out.
yeah.
anime list, it's currently in the later section. We have
Okay.
no idea. We just know it's supposed to be happening.
I
at
will
some
say, and I'm comfortable doing this if we want to gentlemanly agree. If Chainsaw Man gets announced and drops before we start, I am 100%
Redraft?
comfortable just letting Mason swap one of his shows for it.
point. Yeah, no, that's understandable.
Like we
I'll allow
kind, we
it.
kind of were like, yeah, Mason, it's probably gonna be yours if it gets picked. It's just a
Yes,
matter of like, if Mason drops a show that someone else
It's
really
crazy because
wants,
I think all four of us have like that one show this season that we're like, okay, that person's
Yeah.
taking that show.
So like
I
if
don't gotta
Mason
think about
Mason
it.
were to take mine, I would also wholeheartedly
Ah.
be like, yeah, I want to pick mine back up. By the way, if Mason drops it,
Oh man, I like what was that other one I really liked? I gotta remember what it was. There's one that we were looking at the trailer for, and I was like, this.
I hope you don't
think-
remember what
is
it
it
is.
this one?
I hope you don't remember what it
It
is.
might
Not
be that.
allowed.
I know I liked that one.
Yo, Mason, you should spin the wheel.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to remember. Okay.
What? Spin the wheel while Dodge is searching for his other shows
Yes.
that he was interested in. Fuck you guys.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Let's
Last pick,
Also
last
do
pick,
that
last pick,
for
last pick, last pick,
later.
last pick, last pick. Okay, sweet.
John.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's what I want to
And there's
see.
blue
Okay.
period off the table. Blue period off the table. Congratulations, blue period. First pick of the
I don't
draft.
know what you mean.
High choice.
I clicked it and didn't do anything. So
Shit.
I'm keeping track
Um,
of. Just do the order now.
Oh,
We'll do the
we're gonna
picks
do
after
it.
we get the order
Come on,
sorted.
come on. Not me. Not me. I want to win this wheel.
Let's
Oh,
go. Let's
God.
go.
Let's go.
Let's go,
let's
Michael. This is
It's getting picked. Let's
This is
go.
this is ideal, Michael. This is ideal. This is what we want.
Come on. Optimal gameplay. Optimal gameplay. Do I win another wheel?
This is fine. This is fine. I think this is fine.
I'll take it. I'll take third. I'll take third. This is perfect. This is perfect.
Okay.
Honestly, Mason, 4 is the best spot to be in this entire draft. I
So,
think.
yeah,
Why?
Will.
Because Sean, me, and Michael all have shows we're like 99.999% gonna pick here. Like,
For me,
Yeah.
the trick was being fourth was a problem because I was a very high chance one of you two took my show.
who, me?
Yeah, you already threatened to do it.
Oh,
I
which
don't
one?
really have a good way to.
You've already threatened to take tact.
Don't really have a
I
good way.
want. I was going to take tax
Which
first.
one's tax?
Yeah,
It's
Ta-
the one by
um,
Mappa and Madhouse.
Oh, this shit.
yeah. Vivi
This will-
2.0.
This
I
will
didn't,
work.
By
I
a
don't,
different
I don't remember
studio.
watching the trailer. Oh,
Look
right, I
at
do remember
this.
the trailer.
That's when you watched the trailer and went, I want to pick that one because I can
that's
pick
good.
Komi-san eventually or someone's going to pick Komi.
Someone's gonna pick Komi. I'm gonna watch it anyways.
Okay. So let's.
We'll just
And it's Mad
Yes.
Mappa and Madhouse. Oh god, that's a
Um,
dangerous combo.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
let's just if you want to, I will scroll onto mine and I'll just go and I'll do the pick that I was always gonna pick. So if you wanna on the
Sean,
sheet,
you have some
Mason,
things in the wrong
like
column.
me- Well, I'm watching these. I'm not unmarking them. They can stay.
No,
On
in
stream?
the picks.
In the dock.
Oh, what do you
You,
mean?
you have in the picked section, you have a bunch of the other companies.
Oh,
You got like
just-
halfway
whoops.
down and started fucking it up.
Yeah, that's because I couldn't see the title. You could just move them. When it becomes an issue. I have it
Okay.
on the other screen.
Which
tab, I
is
can
an issue for the
technically-
second
Oh
choice. is the
god,
problem.
Sean, the stream is having issues for you, or at least on my end. Maybe it's just my end.
Don't worry.
I think it's your end.
I'm fixing it. There we go. Yeah. So what? That was.
Yeah.
Blue
I'm already
Periods.
putting in my pick.
Okay. Well then,
'Cause I know you're grabbing Blue Period first.
I'm grabbing Blue Period first. I don't know if we want to talk a lot about the
What a
shows we're
shocker.
picking, but Blue Period's gonna be airing on Netflix starting on October 9th. I'm really excited for it. I've been told it's going to be amazing, and it looks like it's going to be amazing. I don't usually pick the stuff in the drama slice of life, category, but the last
Steal
time
my May
the
shit.
last time I did it won the season it was in. So, oh no, it came second because Sherlock bumped it because that was a complicated time, right? Because Stars Align didn't actually win that season.
Where are you guys typing this stuff? I don't see you guys typing this stuff.
It is in the spreadsheet. There is a column picked.
I don't have the access to that.
I posted it. It says there's 3
I
people.
I
in it.
only have options and selected.
Yeah, no, that's. I haven't moved anything into selection
Oh,
selected
okay,
yet. So
okay,
on
okay.
on
Yep.
the options tab, there's a column picked.
Yep.
Where is?
Yep.
I need to find Blue Period.
Blue Period's
so-
right at the top.
Right.
Like,
Can I edit
right
these?
there.
Can. Okay, cool.
Because you put the Japanese title first,
Yeah.
and then then sorted them by English
You
title.
are correct. I did do that.
Yeah, picking Tactopi Destiny.
So
I really want this show. I looked at this show. I saw that it had music and stuff, and I was like, ooh, me want.
Hmm.
okay,
And we're
Dodge.
betting the entire season on this. I'm gonna go pick some dumb shit next.
Are you-
There's so much.
are you
There's so
get-
much stuff
are
to
you
choose
just- are
from,
you
man. I
just gonna
wonder
pick
what
your
I'm
show?
gonna pick. Oh man, it's such a tough choice. You know I gotta take Komi-san. Like, come on.
That's
I'm caught up with the manga.
understandable.
I think it's gonna be a really good first season. I don't think the next like 2 or 3 that come after it would be nearly as good. It's also on fucking Netflix, which is cool.
This pog.
I don't know if that's out. It's gotta be close to coming out, right?
3 days, I think it says.
I think it's pretty soon. I can check it out. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Komi-san. It's a safe bet for me. Like, I know it's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be around for a while. Like, this stuff's good. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm interested to see how they animate it because it's gonna be a tough one.
Mhm.
Whoa, hang on, time out. Netflix new episode coming October. Oh, it's right. We're gonna have to figure out because it's earlier in Japan. It's out like
Netflix is a funny.
so. NordVPN guys, free trial
So,
for 2
Mason,
months.
what are you picking?
See, that's the tough one.
That's actually the tough choice.
There's like
It-
2 or 3 that I think are real decent picks right now.
So I am currently between 2 of them at the moment.
Well, you
I
can
am-
pick.
So I am between Ranking of Kings and Sakugan, and I'm
Those were
legitimately-
2 of the 3 I was thinking of.
What was the third one you were thinking of?
We'll get
As a
there.
joke,
We'll get there.
picking platinum ends so we can have a fucking generic shonen bullshit in here.
I mean, I am a generic shonen bullshit guy.
That is
but-
understandable.
But no, I think I'm gonna go with Ranking of Kings because I can tell.
Yeah.
I think that show is going to destroy people.
I low key think Ranking of Kings is the sleeper pick of the season. I think
I agree.
You do not low key think, you high key think that. That is the
True.
only
Oh,
thing you
right,
think.
true.
I do think this is going to be incredible. It's by Wit. It's gonna look great. It's just a matter of if it's slow at the start and it's gonna be like a build. Is it gonna survive through the build? Which is a matter, I guess, the
Yeah.
quality of our other picks will decide.
Oh wait, Mason gets 2 picks in a row.
You're
You
right,
just get
he
to pick
does.
your other
Oh.
one now.
I mean, if
Yeah.
he wants to, sure.
Yeah, we'll take Sakugan.
Yep. So we're gonna
Damn,
find.
now
we're
now
gonna
I don't
find
now I
out-
don't care what else I pick.
We're gonna find out
Else would
how
be
good
dumb.
we're gonna find out how good my brain is, and how many of the shows Mason takes from me. If I wind up sacrificing these for Blue Period and Blue Period winds up being worse than both of them, I will be a sad boy. But I will also accept my
Okay.
fate. This
We're gonna
is-
get the same
I
thing
have-
that happened last season where I get the last 2 picks and they end up being amazing picks.
So, I really don't want to pick 3 romance shows, but I'm gonna end up picking 3 romance shows. My question is which one I want to pick here. I'm stuck between 2. I'm not gonna spoil which ones because unlike Mason, I don't get back-to-back picks. God, this is tough. There's 2 shows that really interest me that are left that I remember watching.
There's a show I want to pick for title alone because I think it's a funny word.
I think I'm gonna
That's
go
'cause
with
dumb shit.
Banished from the Hero's Party. I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside.
Okay.
'Cause it reminds me a lot of Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent, and I'm hoping it's a lot like Saint's Magic Power is Omnipotent, but with bigger titties.
Well,
Honestly, that's what I'm hoping as like a best case scenario at this point. I don't think it's gonna be a winner, but like it looks cute. I think I'll
Michael,
enjoy it.
You are up.
I guess I'll go with the semi-real one this time. I'll Tsuki to like a Nosferatu. Vampire Fate.
Ah, that was the other one I was looking at. Damn it!
Which
Ah, I
one,
should've
which
put
one
it
is
was-
It wasn't my senpai's
Oh.
annoying.
which one is this one?
No,
Vampire in Space.
Okay.
Vampire in
Sabrina.
Space. The Vampire Cosmonaut.
Yeah.
I was
See,
so
I'm on my
close to
anime list
picking
where the
that one.
title's in Japanese.
I was like, which one looks like something that someone's gonna pick? And I was like, probably that one. But
Nah,
But,
I'm. Oh wait,
uh,
have I?
Is it this
Oh,
one, Michael?
Yep, it's that one.
Yeah, Secrets of Like and Those Far Out too. Have
It
I
looks-
shared the fucking meme I
actually looks
made
good.
about this goddamn show and
Yes,
the main
you did.
character?
You
That
did.
it's
Did
just
you?
Vienna, the fucking
God.
VTuber.
Oh yeah.
I think she looks cute. I think the show looks.
Oh, she looks wonderful.
This show looks like
She's
it'd
the
be
only reason I
really
wanted to pick
good.
the
Let's
show.
get Scarlet
It
Nexus
it
off my
looks really
face.
pretty.
Now, Sean, what the fuck do you pick from this?
No,
the fuck
you
is
might
my
say
list?
you might say that, but I actually still have a lot of stuff. I
Yo,
think
Deep
is gonna
Insanity,
be
The
really
Lost
good.
Child. Let's
I
go.
do not think that's my pick. I still feel really comfortable doing this, and I still feel really strong about this show. I think it's going to be good, and it'll be my fantasy grab of the season. I'm gonna pick Faraway Paladin.
Okay.
I think it looks
Oh,
good.
boy.
I think it'll be good. I'm excited for this. I think it has a lot of potential, and we'll see if it is wrong.
Oh boy, now we have to roll for our third
To
pick.
the wheel.
Yeah.
To the wheel.
Mason, you want to do it again, or you want me just to pull it up?
I
Here, hold on. I'll hold up.
don't know if I want to go first or last here. Oh wait. Chotomate.
Chotomate.
I know which one I'm gonna pick. If I
I-
get it, I know exactly which one I'm gonna pick.
I have an idea of one I want to pick.
So wait, what are we doing? Why are we re-rolling?
We got 4 more shows to pick. We need
Because
12.
we don't want to just
Dodge
snake
didn't
again.
want to snake. again.
Okay.
I think
Gotcha.
snaking is kind of lame because then it's just like first pick is like pretty OP for like the last round, in my opinion.
Okay.
Plus, I like wheel spins. Wheel spins are fun.
True.
True.
So we'll just do
Okay.
it when you spin the person. We'll have them pick their show.
Yes.
I don't want to be first here because I want to.
Oh wait, this one looks
funny
really cute
choices.
too. I don't want to be first. Make me last here, or like third.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Haha.
Mason honestly got the best fucking draft this entire season.
Okay.
Oh come on, Mason. There was a show you desperately wanted to pick, and I can't believe you're not going to.
I'm between like.
Is it
4
an isekai? Is it an isekai,
No.
Sean?
No,
it is not.
he went. I won't pick it because I've made the mistake with this genre too many times on this podcast.
It's kind of a show that I just want to watch on my own, or like with John. Is the thing. I don't want to fucking sandbag my pick. I am between 3 shows at the moment.
I mean,
4
you're the
shows.
one who's picking here, so you can
I'm
talk
between.
about it.
Okay, so I'm between 5 shows right
There's
now.
a lot at this point.
I'm between Miruko-chan,
Yep,
Miracle
Muv
John?
Love.
Which one's that?
it's the horror.
So
It's the comedy
it's-
horror.
Oh god, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I've seen that. Yep.
Muv Love Alternative.
I remember that.
My Senpai is Annoying, Platinum End, and Perore.
Is that the idol
That's
show?
the hockey
No,
one.
it's the hockey.
Oh my god, it's the hockey. I forgot about the hockey one. Fuck, there's like 3 things now. I guarantee I'll probably pick one of those shows on there. I'm not gonna say which
Fuck.
one it is, but like
Like,
I can't guarantee I will pick any of those.
Okay, so I'm gonna knock out Muv Love just simply because I've already picked a mecha.
is hockey the one you want to watch just with me, Mason?
Yeah. We're gonna knock out Perore. So it's between Platinum and Miruko-chan.
I'll
and
add it
My Senpai is
I'll add
Annoying,
it to my degenerate folder.
right.
Where is it streaming?
It's possible some of these shows do
Where-
have streams now, but I just haven't updated them because I haven't looked at stuff in a while. So some of these could have got stream locations we might just have to recheck up on.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with My Senpai is Annoying, and that'll be my one where if Chainsaw Man does get a confirmation, that's
Bastard.
gonna be the one that I drop.
That I'll probably pick that up then for my last one. I was gonna probably go with that one. It looks like Watercloy with a lolly. And I love that.
By the way, if Chainsaw Man comes out, Mason by far is the strongest fucking draft pick in my
Oh yeah,
opinion
no, it's not
of
even
the
fucking
season. I
close.
think
Oh,
his
It's not even
stuff's
fucking
really good.
close.
Yeah,
Because we all
Chainsaw
had
Man
pri-
has an
it's because the
interesting
3
ending,
of
and
us
I
all had
don't know how the fuck they're
picks.
condensing it into one season
Yeah.
to get to anything, but
So-
it's possible.
So I think we're gonna be able to at the bit where that bit where Denji does the thing with power and realizes how fucking sad his life is.
Same.
That's understandable. Yeah, I think getting through
Oh.
that stuff is probably gonna maybe I don't know.
I played League of Legends today and realized
Well,
how sad my
Mason-
life is.
He'll fight a building.
Mason,
We don't know.
You gotta give us another spin.
Oh, you're right.
Mason, I'm gonna say even without Chainsaw Man, I think Mason's list is also possibly one of the strongest this season.
We'll
by
see.
far.
Yeah.
Look, all I can say is I picked good shows.
Okay.
Sean.
So I am on a I've been in a very interesting place here, where
Please talk about it.
a lot of the shows I have wanted have been picked.
Yeah,
In
there's nothing
fact-
I really want
in
right
fact,
now, and it's all
there's-
just kind of joke picks for me.
There's only I would argue one show that like for a while it's like I really do want to pick it, and that's Deep Insanity. But I'm not as high on that show now as I was when its first couple of trailers came out, which leads me to think that I actually want to pick a show that I don't think that I think has very high potential to get voted off, but also I think potentially might just be cool enough it might stay. And this might be the only chance I ever get to do something like this.
Oh my god, you're doing the thing, so I don't need to do it?
No, I'm not picking Platinum End if that's what you were thinking.
No,
Oh,
no,
good.
that's not the thing.
I'm picking Build Divide.
Oh, that's
Um,
not the thing.
I want to pick.
Damn,
I
I
want to pick. I want to pick a card game show, and that
Oh.
isn't innately tied to anything
Alright.
else.
All right, this thing sounded
And
pretty sick.
I think
actually.
Yeah,
that
it
it's
actually
already
did.
slated to have a second season, which is interesting enough. And it's not the only thing on
Ooh.
this list that is like that.
That's a safe bet. That's a safe bet.
Um,
That's a safe bet.
Platinum End is gonna be 24, and there's a couple of other things that I think we have confirmation are gonna be
Ranking
close
of Kings.
to that. Yeah.
Ranking of Kings getting a second one.
So I think I think Build Divide ironically ironically could be good. I stopped clicking that. So yeah, that's where I stand. This is a very me list of shows I am picking. And
Bro,
I
I'm-
feel pretty good about it.
Look, all I can say is I'm so ready for this season because we have so many shows on here already that I can just tell are going to break all of us.
I also just can't wait for everyone this season to be like, "There's no good shows. There's no good shows."
Mason, did you pick Mub Love?
'cause
Yeah, the
there's
show's just the season's
never-
just garbage.
There's never any good shows if you ask the anime community.
No, never.
Alright.
Let's figure out who
Because
gets the
nothing will
next
ever
one,
be as
Mason.
good as Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood
That's true.
or something.
You're right.
And of
I don't
course,
know.
Michael, on the wheels were the last one standing. Look who's the
True,
two left on the wheel,
always.
as per usual.
Except for the one wheel we spot earlier.
Oh.
And once again, Dodge keeps winning. Dodge will always, when we
I
spin
always will
down,
survive
it'll
these
Yo,
always
builds.
be Dodge.
the question is, do I pick the one that I looked at, saw the part of the name, and went, "That's a funny word," and then went, "That's stupid," because I'm the only person who'll get the joke with that name, or do I do the funny that I thought Sean was about to do?
Do it, Michael. Pick
It
me
gets-
king.
Do it.
No, it's between Deji and
I was
Digimon.
gonna say you're gonna pick Digimon. Holy shit!
I'm not watching.
Digimon was the joke pick that I thought you were gonna do. 'Cause you're like, I'm never gonna get to this thing. And I'm like, oh my god, is he gonna
Wait,
pick
Blue
Digimon?
Period. Blue Period already has like 3 episodes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it started airing in Japan on
Holy
Netflix.
fuck!
See, I looked at Deji Meets Girl and saw Deji and went, "That's funny because he's a YouTuber." And then I started reading through Deji's synopsis and went, "Oh god, that's
Which-
Aquatope again."
Which one is
Oh
this?
no,
Which one is
Deji
this?
Meets Girl by Leiden Films. It is a slice of life
it's
about a
not even
girl who
on our-
works at a hotel in Okinawa.
It's not even on our list.
Is it?
It's on my anime list.
Are you sure it's not short form?
Is it short form?
I think it's short form because it's not on our list.
What is it called?
Deji Meets Girl.
DEJI.
Oh, it is 1 minute. Okay.
Did you miss girl? Yeah,
It's
it's short.
super short form.
TV short.
Now,
I didn't
hear
actually
me
look
out.
at it.
Now, hear me out. Before that makes you pick Digimon, do consider the pool of shows you can pick.
Yeah, do consider Platinum End, the other meme.
I mean, the only other thing I'd pick other than Digimon would be possibly Miruko-chan. I don't care about anything else on here. I mean, except for
Miruko.
maybe Vampire Comedy, but then I have 2 vampire shows. And you know what? I mean, vampire shows do have a pretty good track record on this podcast.
We already have a
So,
vampire show.
I know I'm the one who picked
True.
it.
Yeah. And you fucking stole it from me, you sack of shit. That was gonna be my pick in this round, but then again, I would have never gotten to it.
I guess I'm just gonna watch Deji Meets Girl on the side. I I have to pick Digimon. It's fucking
Damn it.
Digimon.
It's okay. We
Oh,
have
what?
a solid week 1 vote, guys.
I mean, fair. I just
Maybe.
Not what we're
wanted to be
looking
able to have me
I
root
cannot wait for
on.
this to be amazing.
I think it's probably
What is
going
it
for
called? Digimon X?
Ghost
no.
Game.
Digimon Ghost Game. I know nothing about it other than it's Digimon. I didn't watch any of the
It
trailers.
said the Digimon word. We're watching.
Yeah, I'm like,
Digimon.
fuck it. I want to pick Digi.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want. I want that nostalgia boner
you didn't
right
hear
in
my
my
petty
ass.
plan. That was if you took Tact first, I was just going to pick shit. So you guys had to sit through episodes for the first 3 episodes.
He was gonna sandbag this
garbage
pick
for the first.
so hard if one of you guys took tact from him.
I was gonna take Cact. I didn't even remember it. I'll be honest. All right, that leaves me. Right, spin the wheel, Mason. Let's make sure it's me.
It is. I already closed the wheel.
Boo.
Nice.
All right. So here's my off the wall, potentially week 1, potentially like surprise of the season pick. You guys ready for this? I'm going out of left field. We're going to the legendary world of Isekai Land. We're going to another world. We're gonna watch the world's finest assassin gets reincarnated into another world as an aristocrat.
Can we talk about my hard read of as soon as he said I'm going off the wall, I immediately hovered the show? I'm actually totally fine with this. I know there's a lot of people who think this looks like it could legitimately be really, really good. So I think I'm actually happy that you're picking this because I think
It actually looks like it could be good.
yeah.
Yeah, it could.
It looks like it could be another realist hero. But also looks like it could just be like Assassin's Pride level fucking dog shit entertainment. Like this is the kind of trash I might just love. It might be the kind of trash that's just really bad and gets voted off in week 2. Who knows?
So looking at it, a bunch of our shows are coming out the 6th and the 9th of October.
And we're gonna figure out how the fuck to watch Komi-san.
We will work on that. In the same way that you found places that say Blue Period already has 3 episodes out, all of those are in Japan. None of it has aired yet in or because
Yeah, it's just my
it's
site.
it's Netflix as well. So
Netflix has like everything this season.
it has a lot, which is surprising. Yeah, so our latest start, I believe, is going to be Ranking of Kings on the 14th. Which does mean that we will probably be starting on the weekend of the 23rd. Because then that will have 2 episodes out, and it'll be the only show that has 2 episodes out.
So I will say before I forget,
The week after that,
the week after that, John and I will probably be gone.
Okay.
Yomicon.
Yomicon is happening. I'm literally wearing the shirt for it right now.
He's literally staying at my house for that.
Yeah, I'm staying at John's house, so technically we could do it, but also I'm working that convention and I am high up on the totem pole.
Yeah.
So
Let us know. Maybe we can.
If we budget it into the schedule, we'll figure it out. We'd have to figure out like when we watch Weeb shit and when shows come out too.
What if we did it live from Yomicon?
I mean, so also I can tell you right now, I am going to be drunk. So
Let's go.
As long as you share some for me and one of us is sober enough to drive home, I'm good.
okay, so excuse me. Let me rephrase.
Are they mailing
I'm going
badges
to-
this year?
What?
Are they mailing out badges this year? Like, what's the plan?
I'm not sure. I know they are talking about like if you don't want to come, you can defer your badge to next year. But they are doing their normal registration line. So I would pre-register.
Oops, I never fixed
I already
that.
did register and I already have my stuff paid. The problem is they didn't have a tick for anything else besides just going.
Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's you'll be able to pick up your badge on Thursday night. Then.
Thank fucking Christ.
Yeah, we can adjust the day for this if like, because I think arguably since I think Ranking of Kings comes out on a Thursday, arguably most of our other shows should probably be behind it by a week. We'll have to see. And there might be a good case that we could do like a Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday night, and it just has to be one of those. So we can always see. We can also always delay it into the week, like a little bit, and see.
I think that's probably for the best, just
Yeah.
because I know we're not going to be getting back until late,
Yeah.
and we're going to be dead fucking tired, and I'm going to be on some form of alcohol or weed. So
We'll have
or
to figure out like what we're gonna do at Yomicon because I haven't actually gotten much chance to like explore it as much.
yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I haven't actually explored that convention since 2013. So, or 2014, because 2015.
We'll figure shit out with your
I
schedule and stuff
Yeah,
and when you have to
I-
work.
I don't even know what
Yeah.
my schedule is yet.
We'll work stuff out. We'll find a way. We always do. So, As always, I recommend we might, for some of this stuff, you start not the week of.
Yeah.
I know it's rough to watch content and then have to recall content, but also it is rough to watch all of this anime in the amount of time that is there.
And because we're like doing this like right after the season finale and like the week of this time instead of like a couple weeks afterwards, like
I mean, we got
I can't even make my folder of shows for like another week or two until everything is like out and I can like get
Yeah.
my various legal sites to watch it on. Wink,
Yeah.
wink, wink. And figure out that stuff. So
1, 2, yeah, most stuff it looks like we'll have 3 out at the time of that week. And actually looking,
Komi-san should be 3 as
I'm
well.
actually looking at it since a lot of shows come out the 9th. A lot of shows come out Saturdays. We'll have to see. We'll have to play that by ear. That will be interesting.
It seems like everything's starting this week. I'm excited for Senpai is Annoying. That's one I was kind of looking forward to picking.
I'm super hyped for a lot of Mason shows because they were literally going to be my next picks. So like, it is rough. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's really nice to have first pick to get Blue Period because I really, really do want that show, and I won't feel bad if it winds up going. So like, I'll probably enjoy it no matter what. And I think I would just feel worse if someone else had Blue Period because it has. I think it's the safest high potential pick outside of like Komi-san and Talked. I think Reiki of Kings and Sakugan are like 2 shows I think will be good. It's just a matter of, in a season that is full of content.
Komi-sans and Blue Period.
Like two shows that have
Yeah.
source material that are very popular and well liked, and a show that just seems like it's gonna be the second coming of Vivi. I mean, like, I think those shows, don't look as appealing, but I'm excited.
Yeah, whenever you have a season where it's a top 20 most popular manga of all time,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough competition, regardless of how they adapt it. And even if they adapt it somewhat poorly and rush 14 volumes into one season. Sorry. Had a little something in my throat there.
Yeah. I mean, see, it's a shame because Mason didn't pick hockey, which means we can't have a repeat where the sports show beats out the long-time running manga bestseller.
I'm ready to watch hockey with the
What?
boys.
Oh, you mean Remain beating up Peach Boy?
No, I'm fuck you. No, I was referring to Skate beating out Horimiya.
I think Remain beating up Peach Boy is much funnier.
Yes,
Yeah.
but one of those.
I agree, because one of those I
Yeah,
laugh at, the
but-
other one I'm still.
But
bitter
think about
about.
it. Think about it this way: it would be a repeat where a sports show beats out Dodge's child.
I don't like Komi nearly as much as I enjoyed Horimiya. I will say that.
That's fair.
Komi-san does the classic rom-com thing of like, 100 chapters was selling, aren't we? I welcome this, but at the same time, like the start of Komi-san, I think it's by far its best part.
You should really
and,
watch. You should really watch Duke of Death, Dodge.
I'm excited for it.
You should.
I should.
Really watch
I
Duke
should.
of
It's-
Death.
Planning on watching.
That might be this weekend's project before I have a test on Tuesday.
Another conversation is: do we want to try to get Aizuken done this week and go into the weekend?
So
It should be available.
I should be able to do it. I'm just working till about 8 most nights.
Okay.
I will say I don't have another day off until Saturday.
Mm.
For a fun reason at the very least. And I will explain that once stream is done. But
I know.
let me just I'll just say y'all are gonna get some really funny pictures on Sunday.
Ooh, maybe I don't know. I had an
No, you
idea of
don't.
what it could be, but now I think I'm wrong.
No, you don't.
I see DJ has walked into the living room.
Hi, DJ.
Hi DJ.
Okay.
I miss DJ.
Well, thank everybody for coming out for the finale.
I was telling DJ about picking Digimon.
Yeah, good. So thanks again for coming out for the finale. We'll be back either for an episode on Aizuken, which we could do it either. I will say we're approaching our fall break here on campus, so like we're gonna be super free when I'm not doing work. When I'm not writing my 70 papers I have to write. But I'm also off of newspaper work too, so I'm like incredibly free in 2 weeks time, which will be nice. But that's just.
You never read off the titles of our names this week.
Oh
for,
yeah.
vote.
Yeah, you didn't get to read off how a realist hero got 3rd place.
Or,
or
so
mine,
hard.
or mine.
Yeah,
Which is
if it
pretty
didn't,
funny.
it would have been even better if it didn't get third.
Let's see. Let's
that
see.
would
We
be
have.
I
so
didn't see a world
fucking-
where it didn't.
Read
Let's
my
see.
last
We
shot, read
have.
my last.
How Really Zero got third place. Starting off 1-0. I knew my votes 4 weeks ago, which is me, which is funny because I mean, this was what I thought I was gonna vote, but like I said, I needed to
This is
think
what I
on
thought
it.
too. 100%.
And then, do you know about Soma? And I'm not gonna read the rest of it because fuck you, Dodge. You'll get the
Somebody's
satisfaction.
nuts. I got my.
God
It's
damn
not
it.
even meant. It's not even meant to get stream or anyone else. It literally says "Gotcha, Sean." So,
Yeah. Dude, how have we not made that joke this entire season? Like, I literally changed it like right before I submitted. So I'm like,
'Cause it
oh,
doesn't make sense.
somebody's nuts. Yeah, it does. That totally makes sense. Don't even.
well, guys, this is the kind of humor you can look forward to in the fall season of Anime or Phrase Save or Slay. If
I'm
you
just saying,
are,
man. I'm the second place king, baby.
if you are wondering
one
where
big
Group 1 is, that's a good question.
I don't think
Be a
even
bit.
Group
That's
One
where
We're
is
they
now
are.
group 1 again.
You might see Group 1 eventually talk about stuff on this podcast. I don't know anymore. If you're wondering if you'll see this podcast in 2 groups, I'm also wondering, but if you are, you won't see me in 2 groups. So that'll be a fun thing to sort out. But yeah, it was worth experimenting to try. And I think overall this was a really fun season. And really good for the podcast. So I'm excited for fall, which I expect to only get better, and then I'm excited for winter, which I think will be a lull.
It's a
I don't
long
know
way
what
away.
I don't know what's gonna be in
I
winter,
don't know
but
what's coming
sequels.
out.
I think it's literally just gonna be sequels.
It's a long ways away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say thank you guys for having me and inviting me onto here. 'cause
Yeah, good job,
I
Mason.
get-
Yeah,
Congrats!
Mason.
Congrats!
Let's go.
Yeah. No,
One punch chomp. Here we go.
This has been. I'm trying to think if there's anything that will prove me wrong. This might have been the best decision we've made.
What?
Outside of
on?
like reinvigorating the podcast with like Dylan and Dodge and Jackman, like I think bringing you on is probably the strongest decision we've made.
I think it's a fun balance between me and Mason sharing the brain cell and you and Michael sharing the brain cell.
And occasionally
certain
Mason and
things.
I sharing the brain cell.
And then me
Well,
and Sean
occasionally
just
me and
not-
Michael
and me
sharing
and
the
Sean-
brain cell.
And then me and
Or-
Sean having complete opposite brain cells the other half the time.
So
Yep.
it's literally it just cycles where
Mhm.
who am I sharing the brain cell
Yeah.
with? Is it John, Michael, or Sean? Most of the time it's John. Like 30% of the time it's Sean, and then there are those moments where Michael and I just are on the exact same.
It's when you talk JoJo. That's the only time the brain
Rude.
cell allow.
Very true. It's when we talk JoJo and Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. So it's
True.
possible. We might
Oh,
see it.
we didn't get to talk about some of the other things I did this week.
What else did you
But
do
we-
this week, Mike?
no,
Well, we could do it off stream.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't need to. We don't need to go into
We've
that.
been
We can
live
end
for
the stream
2.5
at some point.
hours.
Yeah, that's why I said we could do it off stream.
And an
It's a
hour of that
finale,
was Sunny
baby.
Boy.
An
An hour of that was Sunny Boy.
Have a good night,
Yep.
everybody. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.